Hello, 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 and welcome to a very special Sunday edition of Hotline League, your favorite League of Legends esports podcast. I am your host, Travis Gafford, bringing it to you here on the weekend, and I am joined, as always, by my constant co-host, Mark Zimmerman, who is ready and has not been working all day long today and is trying to sneak in a meal as the show is starting.
Today is actually my light day. Tomorrow's my bad day.
Oh,
And that's
really?
why I
Okay.
can't do Hotline League. Yeah, because I have the dive into meetings into. I don't think it's a secret. The Soul Fighter event.
No, they've been
Yeah.
tweeting about it. It might be a secret that you're working it, but it's no longer a secret.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm like hosting it. So we had a table read yesterday. We had rehearsals today, and we have the show tomorrow.
So it's scripted.
Yeah. The whole thing's scripted. I already know who wins. It's North America, baby.
Yeah, that's what's up.
It's Meteos and Skara, the absolute behemoths.
Do you want to explain what this is? Because
Yeah.
I think a lot of people thought that I was leaking something by suggesting Riot was going to do something tomorrow night, and people just have not done a good job of. Well, I'm not. Listen, I think Riot always does a great job of advertising everything, and I think this is another example of that. But go ahead and explain what it is, Mark.
So to celebrate the upcoming arena mode, the 2v2v2v2 thing, it's a night where they're bringing in representatives from all the like quote unquote major regions. I don't know how to say it, but it's like not every region in the world, but NA, EU, Korea, China, Brazil, LATAM,
Vietnam,
LJL, and nope.
Oh, really? Okay.
No Vietnam. I can't remember the last one. Did I say Brazil, LJL? I don't know.
It's fine.
Whatever. Anyways, there's 8 teams of 2 competing, and they're doing like a bunch of like combat things, like real life, like game show kind of things.
What,
and then
American Ninja or whatever that was, that show back in the 90s?
Yeah, kind of like that stuff. And then there's the actual mode 2v2 that they're doing at the end, or arena mode. So it should be a fun night. Just tomorrow night. I don't know what channel it's on. I assume it's just gonna be on Riot Games. When me, Captain Flowers, Kobe, and Ovly are all the ones doing it. So should be pretty exciting. I think it's at like 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. I don't know.
It's in the afternoon.
Yeah, so that's why we can't do Hotline League tomorrow night, and we're doing it today.
And I will be there in person. Did I tell you that?
You told me you wanted to do it, and then you are doing it.
Yes. I'm doing it. I will be there in person with Drew, hanging out, watching, attending. So for folks that want to check that out, you can do that tomorrow. I think I did not know that Mark was working that event. Otherwise, I would have said something about it last week. But I am somewhat happy that it worked out this way, because I think we would have had to stream against it, which would have been not great, even though we don't have great viewership tonight because it's a Sunday. But, it all balances out. Either way, let's introduce our guest for this week. Covey, it's been a while since you've been on the show, right?
Yeah, it's been a long, short week of 5 days. Yeah.
Yes.
5 days.
Yeah, 6 days.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Well, it's good to have you here. I am happy to have you back. What has been going on in your world?
We have the last week of Challengers regular season, where some of our teams are playing better. The player that is probably, at least my vote, for most valuable prospect, we only have 2 games left, so it's probably determined now. It is Masu of FlyQuest Challengers. We'll see if he wins, as it's a broadcast award. But he's been playing competitive for 3 splits and is the strongest marksman and one of the best players in our league, and he is nuts. So I definitely recommend watching the tape and seeing what he did today on the Kaisa. Besides that, I've been going through the quarterback docuseries on Netflix, which is fun. So, that's good. We're definitely, nothing else was going on during that time.
Nice. Well, I'm glad
I'm going to miss the event tomorrow. I got invited, but I got to work. So have fun at Soul Fighter, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we got a lot to talk about this week, because we're going into the last week of LCS, and I think there's just been several conversations that have emerged over the past however many days. But Mark, what have you been watching and doing lately before we get into all that? Oh, you're muted.
I unmuted and somehow remuted again instantly. I haven't been watching a ton of stuff. I think we saw fuck, what's that comedy movie? There's another comedy movie I feel like we watch. There's Past Lives, and I think we watched something else, but I can't remember. What came out recently? I'll go look at it. What was it? No Hard Feelings? Didn't I already say that one, though? Didn't we watch something else? Joyride. Sorry. Yep, Joyride's it. Thank you, Con. Yeah, Joyride.
Con knows more about it than Ashley, and she saw it.
Well, she got there too. I couldn't remember it, but yeah, it was what you would expect from that kind of movie, but it was a good version of that American comedies. Other than that, I'm just forcing myself to play Final Fantasy 16 because Baldur's Gate 3 isn't here yet. Realistically, I want to play Halls of Torment because that looks sick and it's just going to eat my whole life up. So I'm going to play that, probably get me to Baldur's Gate 3. I love the news that AAA devs are complaining that like Baldur's Gate 3 is setting a too high of a standard for them because they can't make good games or something. It's hilarious, and I love it.
I didn't even heard about that discussion.
Well, because you don't follow anything. It's not Magic the Gathering.
That's definitely not true. I literally watched a video this week that was like 45 minutes long about a dude who got to play Baldur's Gate early. He went to like some event at a castle where they like decked it all out, and they were talking about the different there's like an origin class or something like that you can
yeah.
So
it's sick. It's gonna be amazing.
I do follow things.
Mark's face was too good. Mark's face was too good for that.
Yeah. Anyway, so I had not heard about that. I guess we'll talk about it later. But
Travis knows about the bear sex. I brought it up last week.
I finished Barry, and it's so fucking good. I highly recommend everybody go finish Barry.
Great
watch
show.
Barry if you haven't done it yet. It is very, very good. I finished it at like 2 a.m. and then listened to the podcast that Bill Hader's been doing with The Ringer, and listened to like the last episode about the podcast about the last episode and his whole thing, which is fantastic. I recommend that if you like it, especially because Bill Hader is just really great in it, and it's just very real, I guess is the best way to put it. I love it. So yeah, but Barry was fantastic. I think it's my favorite show that I've seen in the past, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years maybe. It's just so good. So good. But I think it's my favorite show. I'm not saying it's the best one from the past 5 or 7 years. Also, we have a scam train going. Thank you to everybody who's subbing right now. I will definitely be shouting you all out. But a couple things to get into. One, I am going to be dropping, I guess maybe tomorrow, a video that I did talking about sort of what's going on with Travis Gafford Industries moving forward. For those of you that are interested, please go check it out. I talk a little bit about how the current economic environment and the esports winter and LCS stuff is affecting TGI and what's going on. So I know a lot of you are not interested in that stuff, but if you are, please go check it out. Some of the members on the YouTube channel have already seen it because it's already set to be members. So if you're a member, you can go watch it now. But maybe by the time this goes up, it'll be up. Anyway, but there's that. And then I just want to say I'm going to be at Comic-Con this next week. I'm getting in. I'll be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if you see me there, please say hi. Would love to say hi. And yeah, let's get into the news. So
what is the news?
The big stories from this week.
Are there any?
Well, I think Fnatic is fucking... Or Fnatic. I was looking at Reddit and the Fnatic drama. We're not talking about that because this is LCS. But FlyQuest is fucking boomed, right? There's technically not out.
Yeah, they're technically not out.
Technically.
But they're practically out. And I think that that's interesting. They're tied with Immortals for 9th, which is just wild. 100 Thieves, I think, is an interesting thing to talk about. Obviously, they had a...
Yeah, but this isn't like news. This is just like, hey, the LCS happened this week. Or there wasn't like, oh, this other thing. You know, sometimes we're like, this thing is news.
Was there any news,
Yeah.
Twitch chat? Let us know if there's anything that happened in the last 6 days that we need to discuss. That
Spawn, Team Liquid Challenger locked first place.
True.
Okay. Who cares? Certainly no one on this call.
Nope.
None of us would care about not tier 1.
Yep.
Cubby's trying to get that permanent spot in the LCS casting lineup, and in order to do that, he has to pretend he doesn't care about NACL.
Think card gassing his boys up after a 3-0 week.
Yeah. We had Poom replace Diamond on Dig.
And then go 0-3.
Yes. Exactly.
Unlucky.
Maybe they should not have replaced Diamond. I don't know.
Who can say?
Who can say? Anything else in Twitch chat? Meshbeard says C9 back and Soul first, mainly due to GG and EG dropping. And then I think that's most of it. So I think this is a great week. This is usually a fun week because of a couple things. One, we can talk about the MVP and All-Pro race. We're heading into the final week. People can sort of start to make predictions before people start to vote, and like who should be in that conversation. I think we'll probably have conversations about where teams are going to finish or any kind of retrospective stuff. I know LCS did a really exciting sports-themed broadcast this week that we could talk about. There was another thing that LCS announced. Oh, by the way, we are less than 2 weeks out. We're 1 week away from less than 1 week away from like playoffs week. Does anyone know what the schedule is for that week? Because I don't think it's been posted yet on LOL Esports, and it's nowhere.
Not posted. It's not known.
I don't think it's known. Is it happening on the weekend? Does it happen on the weekdays? There's no information. Again, the last time LOLesports.com got updated was June 9th. So over a month and a half ago.
Okay. It is, I believe, the 4-day weeks are Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
Almost positive on that.
Thank you for letting me know.
Thank God. Yeah. I think that's true. I hope that's not gonna piss someone off that I said that, and then it turns out not to be true. But someone told me that because I was asking the same thing this week.
Yeah. Well, I just wish this stuff was advertised a little bit better. It feels like there was one other thing we were going to try to talk about, but maybe a call will come in on it. I don't know. But if there's anything else that we're forgetting, please let us know, and we will move forward with that. But I guess, Mark, you want to explain how the show works?
I don't think we need it this week. There's a pretty good group.
Do you want me to explain it so that you can eat and finish your food?
That won't take that long. What's the best way for me to eat is to get the caller on.
Okay, perfect. We're going to get to callers, everybody. If you haven't, go put your take in. Just do ! Instructions in the chat if you don't know how it works. And also, you can join the Discord by joining discord.gg/Travis. That brings you straight to my Discord. And we talk about all sorts of cool stuff there, including books and Magic the Gathering and League of Legends on occasion even. But yeah, Mark, you want to start? Oh, wow, you have filled up the waiting room. Okay, off Mark goes to grab the first caller. Cubby is excited for this first caller who's already here. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is SydeB and I'm calling from the DC area.
What's your name one more time?
SydeB.
Is that for Melee?
It was originally for Smash for Wii U because that's the one that I started with. So yeah.
No, you're good.
Well, what do you want to talk about on the show?
So my take is that North America's 4th seed will soundly beat EU's 4th seed for the world spot this year. And the reason I say that is looking at the top 4, at least currently for North America, I would say the most shaky right now would be Evil Geniuses. They went 0-3 this week. They're on a little bit of a skid. But assuming they get things back together, which it seems like they're going to based on the time they have and the teams that they're facing next week, they would probably do pretty soundly. And looking over at Europe, the only 3 teams that have a shot at that point right now, I mean, there's still 3 more to get determined, are G2, BDS, and Mad Lions. G2's doing pretty dominant. Don't think they'll get anything below 3rd. BDS plays through niche top lanes, and we've seen how well that works with Dignitas right now, who's on a 3-game lose streak at least, and currently 6-9. And then we know how Mad Lions does, at least this year internationally and historically, against 4th seeds. at least in North America, especially if that seat is Evil Geniuses, which they have a little bit of a history of. But I think with the way North America is looking and the way EU looked, at least compared to how those two looked at MSI and how they're looking so far through the summer, I think North America's got it pretty much on lock.
And sorry, you think EG is going to be the fourth?
Just potentially, they seem like the lowest, at least out of the top four right now, where they might be the most shaky compared to Cloud9, Golden Guardians, EG, and TL, who are currently the top four. If some team like NRG or TSM were to jump up, or even potentially something like Dignitas or 100 Thieves, I think we'd still be okay. NRG is probably the most shaky out of the top six there, but that's just because they have a little bit of inconsistency issues. They are on a little bit of an upturn, beating, Cloud9 a few weeks ago, and now pulling off a couple, I guess you could consider them upsets, but I think out of the top four right now, at least, Evil Geniuses looks like that fourth seed, even though they might not end up there when the bracket's all said and done.
Yeah, I think the subplot here that is interesting in this call that we don't have to spend too much time on, but I do think it is interesting in that for a lot of this split, it was C9 Golden Guardians EG all in contention. And the premise for your call is somewhat, you think EG's now the fourth spot and TL has presumably taken that third best team.
Well, also the caller said that anyone in the top four will be okay. So
Gotcha.
Whether
Okay.
it's Team Liquid or not.
Okay.
Small quick thing on the EU status as well is, remember, they use championship points. So
Yes.
G2 currently has 180, I think, between winter and spring. And the most you can get in summer is 180. So it's almost guaranteed that G2 is not playing in the fourth place match. Thank God. They are probably the team I'm most scared of, regardless. Yep. So feels pretty good, man, I'd say.
That is very cool. What, dude? So, Mark, do you think the championship point system can send a shitty team in at fourth?
I mean, anything can happen. I don't know.
At the moment, like, the biggest thing going on in EU is that Fnatic might be gatekept from actually like advancing, because Fnatic this split, I actually think that's a team where Noah Trimby is a bot lane that I think might give a headache to some of the bot lanes that probably would be matching up from LCS. And I mean, honestly, what I need from this matchup, like, I think what would just make this the biggest banger of all time, if somehow we get a miracle and we just get FlyQuest versus Vitality, and we can see which super team failed the hardest, I feel like that's the best of five. We
That
really
seems very unlikely.
It does, but how great would that be?
Yeah. I mean, if they make it to the fourth place, then they're not really the super team that has failed that bad, right? Like,
that's true. But still,
I just think it would be funny if somehow, because of EU's weird format that we keep getting flamed for disliking, what happened even last week's episode, if they end up setting like a goofy team in at the fourth slot, and then they just get crushed by NA because we sent our actual fourth best team at that point in time.
Yeah. Who knows? That's why I was like, it's hard to predict because anything could happen. Some team like Buster's out that has more championship points than they're playing. Who cares? I think the bigger question that is ultimately the heart of this is, which region has more good teams? I think it's pretty close. I actually really like Team Liquid chances. I'm actually kind of more pessimistic on EG right now because it does feel like that other shoe has dropped that we were kind of all worried about, or at least like I was saying, was like, what happens when Jojo Pune's not the best player in the world?
Evil Genius just shows up, first time chatter, says based, and then you say like your dad on them, and they say, oh, not based. Perfect timing. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they are. EG is looking maybe a little one-dimensional right now, whereas Team Liquid has their problems. They are so bad in mid to late game, which is really scary in a best of 5. But at least they get insane early game leads. So I don't know. I would feel pretty good with either one, honestly.
I think the positive too for TL is that as long as they decide to stick with APA, like, that's only going to get better. And I've seen their challengers team play mid game with Harry and APA in, and it's about the same. It's good, but I know that APA is a vocal player, at least when he is playing on that challengers lineup, and his ability to communicate with the team right now isn't great. So I feel like TL almost have more upside to try and clean that up, given that I think they're just going to start melding better and better as a team. But they haven't fixed that for like it's gotten better, but it's not fixed. And it's been their issue all year, right? So
Yeah.
that's kind of the headache, right?
I feel like Harry gets so hated on. I think he's better than the community gives him credit for.
Yeah.
He has legitimately bad problems with team fighting.
Yes.
And he's playing on a team that also like has team fighting problems. So it's like a compounding effect where he really looks like he's inting team fights sometimes. And I understand that APA is probably a better team fighter and stuff, but I feel like he had strengths as well. He was a good laner. He was, pretty good in the early game, and part of the reason that Team Liquid blew people out in the early games. But I'm very happy with APA being in, but I see people on Reddit now be like, Harry was dog shit, worst mid laner in the LCS. And I'm like, bro, look at some of the other mids in the LCS and then try and say that again. Because they have legitimately nothing they do well.
I 100% agree. And that was very much my read of Harry as a player going into LCS. It's funny because I think he team fights better on melees than mages. And I like his melee play better overall. But yeah, I also think with Harry, a bit of it is... My read on him has always been like somewhat confidence. I think that at times he does ebb and flow in terms of form, and a lot of that's based on his own confidence. And I gotta say, like Harry, coming into the day for challengers in 10 games, he's averaging over 1,000 gold.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is he crushing it in NACL? Like
he's destroying NACL. So like Harry's been good. So hopefully he can build up some confidence, and who knows? Like that's a legitimate strat that TL can play moving forward. Harry and APA have very different champion pools. And I wouldn't be surprised if Harry reappears at some point because champions like Yasuo, Yone, Akali, Silas are not champions that APA has really ever been that proficient on, and Harry is incredibly proficient on. So there is an opportunity we could see more Harry still.
I would say I don't think I want to see Harry again this year, given how good things are going with APA. And like you said, there's this upside. But I hope he gets a shot maybe next year. My bigger concern is that the community has so much hate for him, and GMs don't actually pay attention, and then next thing you know, he's just like busters out of the league completely.
No, we'll see him in 2025, and he'll be amazing, and everyone will be like, "What? Why did we do? Why? How did this happen?" or whatever.
Is this rookie guy playing on the LCS stage like struggled a little bit? Like what the fuck?
Yeah, it happens every time, and we are as guilty, I think, often of being as critical as the community is, I guess. But
back to the caller's point.
Go NA. I'm in.
Go NA. Let's start putting some money where our mouths are, because you don't actually believe something if you're not willing to put anything behind it. So are all three of us willing to admit that North America is going to dick EU in the 4th place match, regardless of teams?
Yeah.
Honestly, yes. Because right now when I look at EU, it's like likely going to be something like SK, KOI, and Vitality. And I will take my NA team chances over that.
Don't their 4th place team always end up bombing out in play-ins at Worlds anyway when they get to send a 4th?
That happened.
No, that's just
twice.
Mad Lions.
It was Mad Lions, yeah.
Yeah.
And one of them they did lose to EG. So I just think that, like, barring some crazy thing where, like, I don't even know if it's possible, like somehow G2 ends up 4th, or like we send like Dignitas somehow, and like people just trolled, and like I lose all confidence in our top 4. Outside of a situation like that, I'm willing to, I don't know, what should we do if they lose? We'll like eat some horrible...
will be excited.
We'll eat some blood sausage or something. Like, I don't know.
I don't want to
eat some blood sauce.
Let's do something spicy. I don't like spicy stuff, but if I make an appearance,
spicy's overrated though. Everyone always does spicy. No one just does like.
True.
Hey, caller, thanks so much for the call.
True.
Anything that you want to add to our conversation?
Oh, I don't want to do something that's mildly displeasing.
Just feel free to talk over
minutes.
Mark.
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to add, going on the Harry, the Harry topic, if you technically wanted to go by fantasy, which totally the best metric to grade people. But the first few weeks, Harry was the best mid laner besides Jojo Pyun, and we've seen how Jojo's been doing recently. Harry was number 2, and for a while even took the throne as the best mid laner. And I remember, I think I had Harry week 1 against a team that had Jensen, which, week 1 Dignitas was, hit or miss. But I think Jensen actually got them negative points, was Harry basically helped me win my match. So clearly something's got to go right in order for that to be the case.
Best mid laner in North America. Anything you want to shout out before we go on to our next call?
Yeah, obviously shout out to you three, and also shout out to anyone involved in development leagues, all the way up from NACL down to high school leagues, which leads into my third one of shout out the high school team that I coach. They actually got first place in state this year, which
Oh.
really helped when we had a 500 LP Challenger support. So,
Congrats. That's
Awesome.
awesome, man. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
all right, thank you.
Travis,
I
in
have-
solidarity of Europe, we should not use AC for a week.
Oh my!
Just
God.
no one has AC there apparently. It's just weird. I was watching the Ludwig video about something totally unrelated, and he mentioned that as like a quick joke, and I was like, yeah, it is weird. There's just no AC.
Yeah, it's such a thing.
It's in solidarity. Travis and I will not use AC. It'll be like September. It'll be hot. People don't know, but it's hot as fuck in like September, early October in LA. So yeah, that's what it'll be. If Europe wins and we're wrong, we won't do AC. And if we're right, there's literally no upside. That's how confident we are. We're not even betting against anyone. Let's go find some European casters. You don't do anything fun, man. What do you do?
I know. I'm trying to do the unfun. I'm trying to avoid doing unfun stuff. But also, how am I not supposed to? Kobe lives here. You think he's consenting
Kobe
to
will
this?
agree. Yeah, he would agree.
Okay.
Ask him right now.
Like
How
he's
confident?
watching an anime or something. I don't know.
God, you're not fun. I'll go find someone else to make a fun bet with.
Make it with
I'll hit up the
Cubby.
European guy. But we're on the same page, yeah. And but he's not hosting this show with me. Like if Cubby's not around that episode, like what? Cowardly Travis.
All right. Thank you to
I'll DM the EU guys. We'll figure something out. We'll do something fun.
Cathius.
Travis isn't invited.
Aeon Rack, Nickelodeon, I'm Yogi, Chimera, Potato Garden, Spawn the Caster for a whole year, Penny Snatcher, Arcanite Chill, Pig Food, Ixbix, and Arv. We got our next caller here. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Mauricio. I'm calling from Houston, Texas.
Mauricio from Houston. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, I think that 100 Thieves isn't making playoffs. They're gonna go 0-3 this week, and they're gonna finish 9th.
100 Thieves isn't making playoffs. Who do you think makes it through? Immortals or FlyQuest?
So it's gonna be Dig and Fly out of the bottom 4 to make it through.
Okay. All right.
Dig and fly.
Dig and
Okay.
Fly.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
Immortals
so-
and 100 Thieves does not make it. Okay, why do you? So here's the before we get to that. Here's the schedule list for everybody. Although the Law Esports site is fucking me. Okay, here we go. 100 Thieves plays Dig, NRG, and Golden Guardians. So 2 middle of the pack teams and Golden Guardians, who's up at the top. FlyQuest
Whoa,
plays
middle of the pack. Whoa.
what? Who?
Golden Guardians is second place right now. No,
I said
think it's middle
2
of the pack.
middle of the pack teams and Golden
okay,
Guardians.
Sorry, gotcha.
And then FlyQuest plays TSM, Immortals, and Cloud9.
So the other thing worth noting is that 100 Thieves have the tiebreaker 2-0 head-to-head over FlyQuest. So not only does FlyQuest need to, actually leapfrog, they have to leapfrog over them in the standings, is what I'm saying.
They
can't
have to
be
go
tied.
3-0, and 100 Thieves has to go 0-3?
Yeah,
Yes,
they do.
exactly that. Yep.
Okay. And so that's your premise
This
here.
is quite the prediction.
So your premise here is that FlyQuest goes 3-0, 100 Thieves goes 0-3.
Yeah, I think there's a really good chance that Fly goes 3-0 against TSM, IMT, and C9. I think they're gonna upset C9. Honestly, I really do think. I think it's gonna come to the wire, but I think there's a good chance they upset them. For Dig, I think they after this loss with against IMT, I think Dig might have the mental edge over 100 Thieves. I can also see them winning against Golden Guardians and TL. Sorry. They lose against Golden Guardians and TL, but they do get that win over 100. Obviously, they have to. But for Fly, for 100, Dignitas, they lose that energy. I think they also lose that just because I think they Closer and Quid are just way too shaky. I mean, aren't they like arguably the worst mid jungle duo in the LCS right now? And Golden Guardians, yeah, I think they should just genuinely stomp 100 Thieves.
Personally, I think the thing, even if I took everything else, I think Fly over Cloud9 is maybe too much for me to swallow. Like I just feel like that's the toughest one.
Yeah, I think you called the wrong bet. If you're going to call this, I would go IMT just because they play EG, who's slumping a little bit. They play FlyQuest, and then they play NRG, who is like, I think, actually good when they're playing well, and they are right now. But it's not like a C9 or a GG that you have to upset. Plus, Immortals does have a 1-1 record, so they only need to go 1 game or 2 games better than 100 Thieves. So 100 Thieves can even win a game if they 3-0 for Immortals, and they'll still tie them, and then they have to play a tiebreaker.
Man,
IMT
a
is
world
where
FlyQuest
and
100 Thieves don't make it, and IMT does is a
How
wild
dare you,
one.
my boy Edward Raw popping off. Did anyone
Tactical.
Revenge, I know you're quaking in your boots when you look across the rift and you see Solo and Tactical ready to stomp your butt.
Revenge in the chat. All right, Cubby, what do you make of all this?
I mean, not to use these types of terms, but in a different space, this is what we would call a 6-leg parlay, where you need 6 things to happen. I'm gonna guess either way, that's pretty unlikely. But I will say, 100 Thieves has looked like not good. The one game they've won in their last 5 was against a TSM, where I will actually defend TSM's draft, but I will not defend Hanser on a carry. I know I think the Sedge mid with the Viego is actually good, but
I think if you swap Sedge and Gwen, I think they win that game. Like given Sanity, Gwen and Hanser, Sejuani, I think they win. I mean, with what I saw from Hanser's Gwen, I feel like that would maybe give them a better chance. But it was not good. The Sedge lane tech is playable. We've seen it work in challengers too. I think it's okay in the Jace. You can actually kind of neutralize that lane. But yeah, it monumentally fell apart, and TSM kind of fell apart in that game because 100 Thieves just had like a massive lead top, and Glenn was useless. I don't know. Like I don't have a ton of faith in 100 Thieves. It just feels like what do you think about this team, Mark? Because whenever I see this team, it just feels like they're waiting to lose. Like it's either someone makes a solo play or they just wait to lose.
I am not an optimist on this team. I put them 7th, and I feel pretty good about that. They'll finish around there, even if they do have an okay last week.
Oh yeah, you got flamed for that.
I got flamed initially, and I think I wasn't super confident in it, to be fair. But like people acting like, what happened to Closer? I'm like, have you not watched regular seasons for the last 3 years? Like he does this all the time. He disappears for 4 or 5 weeks of the year, and sometimes comes back and is insane in playoffs or like during like clutch situations. And I think
on All Pro a
lot. Sometimes. I mean, I don't really. I was just like, I watch the game. I look at what he does. I look at his paths. He never does a creative early gank, like never in his life. He will never do what River does or Santorin or any of these like more ganking oriented junglers. He does have his picks that he's better on than the other ones. It's like, and I think people like season ends. They're like, they see him pop off. He does a lot of really cool stuff, and like, this guy's fucking crazy, man. And then they forget that what happened for the first 5 weeks of the split or something. And I called it out 2 years ago. I got shit on then for calling out that this happens, and it's happening again. And every time it's like amnesia for everyone who watches the league to be like, wait, but he's really good. And it's not just on Closer. I talk about Closer a lot because it's one of the lightning rod ones, but like Someday is also very hit or miss. Busio, I think, is a rookie, and he struggled a little bit last split, and I'm not surprised those continued. And then Quid coming in, he was like, he's not this insano Korean prospect where he's gonna like, everyone was juiced to get him like Berserker, and was like highly lauded by everyone who had eyeballs. And there he's gonna revitalize the team. I think he's fine. I have no problem with him. I just don't know why you would go for him over literally any NA player. Or I shouldn't say literally any, but like a handful of the NA mids who probably could have had a shot and done okay. It was just like a random signing to me. So like, yeah, I called that. But even then, they are not missing playoffs. There's no fucking way. Okay.
I think that if Immortals hadn't won against Signitas last week, it probably wouldn't like even be like in the question. But
the win over TSM for 100 Thieves was huge, and now that they have that win, there's no fucking way they don't make it. Yeah, I think
so. I can also see Fly taking a game off C9 at the end of the split. I think that's totally possible.
Yeah,
So
but
I know.
like to Cubby's point, it's such a parlay bet where you have to like win
Yeah.
a bunch of things.
Oh
So,
yeah,
like,
definitely. I just
100
think that
Thieves
is.
will win a game. They will
Mhm.
beat Dig, or they will beat Energy, or they will beat Golden Guardians. Like one of those three, they'll win. They probably
You,
won't lose all three. And even if they do, I
Mhm.
don't think FlyQuest is going to 3-0.
Do you think that if the 100 loses to Dig, they kind of like have a worse chance to win the next two games?
If 100 Thieves lose to Dig, they have a worse chance to win the next two.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like they're already, I gotta
Already
imagine
scuffed.
not feeling good behind the scenes.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah, I mean, it's a team of, I think, maybe besides Double Lift, where all like 4 players are basically hit or miss. No.
yeah. I mean, I think I don't have faith in any team, I guess is a way to put it, right? Like I don't really love Dig anymore, as they just lost to Immortals and looked pretty bad doing it. I love Rich's champ picks, but like that team just swapped Puma in and went 0-3. So like I have no confidence in Dig to be 100 Thieves either. Like I'll probably predict 100 Thieves to win that game. Fuck, I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. Those
When you say
bottom
you don't
four
have any
teams-
confidence in any team, you just mean in this mix of.
Yeah, in this mix of 4
These
teams,
bottom
I
4.
expect
Gotcha.
all of them to lose a lot of games and win a couple. And that means that like more or less the standings will stay the same. I don't think any of these teams are like hot right now. In fact,
so
the
you-
hottest team might be Immortals because they went 2-1 last week.
Oh, so you think that it'll be Dig 100 into playoffs?
Yeah, I think so. I think that they did
Gotcha.
enough work earlier on the season to maintain their positions
Yeah.
because no team is playing well.
I think so too. I can't see 100 Thieves losing all 3 of these games, even with how much I really don't like how they're playing the game.
I
at the
can see
moment.
them winning Dig and losing the next 2, but then at that point, they're guaranteed playoffs. No.
Like you're telling
They're
me
at
like
least
Double
tie-
Lift and
tiebreaker.
Busio can't carry like one of these games. I feel like they can do one.
Yeah,
One of the
I don't
two,
know.
right? Like one of the two.
How did you guys feel
I've asked
about
that.
Peter's performance during the because he was like, "Oh, I've been sick" and blah blah blah. So I'm kind of curious. How did you guys think? Did he look like ass? He seemed to feel like he did.
The one game was it the Varus game? The IMT game was bad.
Well, Friday was
that was bad.
was that a Wednesday's game?
Yeah, the Wednesday
Yeah.
game was bad. The other 2 were fine. The Wednesday game was bad though. I think that was the one where afterwards he tweeted out like, "Hey, I'm not feeling well," and yeah, they played bad. But besides that, he was fine.
Yeah, I have no problem with like they're clearly the strongest part of that team. I think Double Lift in particular is the same way I'm joking about like get tactical team. I feel that way about Double Lift for sure. I don't think he has much help.
Didn't he have a team last season? Do you think Bjergsen's retirement kind of fucked him over more than expected?
I don't think Bjergsen was playing that well last split anyway. So Quid's not better, but Bjergsen wasn't good last split.
I am a Bjerg apologist, man. I'm
I
not
don't
going to hide it
know.
anymore.
Yeah,
I'm not going to hide it.
Yeah, I don't think he was playing well, but like I think in a video I saw where Peter said that he was still like a massive like voice and decision maker and shot caller, and I think when you lose that out over Quid, that's just like immediately like I don't know, it makes your team significantly worse.
How do you guys think
Yeah.
someday? Because we're at the end of the split. How do you guys think someday has paired up versus Tenacity?
I think he looked good at the beginning of the split, and then he's kind of okay now.
I think Someday is on an island every game, and he does better than what Tenacity did on his island every game.
I think
Yeah.
he's just like more neutral. I think Tenacity had maybe some like no, you know what? I think it is an upgrade. I think Tenacity had his games where he popped off, but then again, Someday had a couple of good renecting games where he popped off and stuff. So it's not fair to say that he didn't have any pop off games.
He
And he
had a
doesn't
great. You know what a great activity is as a 100 Thieves fan, or someone that likes to hate 100 Thieves? Go back to day 1 of the LCS where they absolutely just like dumped on FlyQuest, and then go watch all the reactions or read the tweets. It's
Don't.
Yeah.
Believe me, I that was when I got the most shit. Was right after that FlyQuest one. It turns out FlyQuest is just terrible.
Oh man.
Mark, do we have any other fly takes? Because otherwise, I have a question for you.
I think we have one. No, maybe this was the fly take.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Well,
There's
it's
a
probably
chance that we're-
fine to have the conversation here.
Yeah.
So, if assuming Fly gets eliminated next week, I think we probably won't spend too much time talking about it because we'll be talking about playoffs and the matchups and all that stuff. So I just really want to quickly, maybe we'll talk about it more, but just so that we don't forget it. What the fuck do you guys think happens to this team? Like, if they don't even make playoffs?
Doubles retires. No,
Who?
I don't know.
Who retires?
Doublelift.
He's talking about FlyQuest, not
Yeah.
not 100
Fly-
Thieves.
talking about FlyQuest.
FlyQuest.
Yeah.
Oh, they just blow up the roster, no? Like, what else do you do?
They get 5 new players. Do they keep anybody? Like, what a disaster, right?
I don't know. I think we've seen worse teams, no?
A lot of people in the
What have we
chat saying
seen-
Vikla and Prince retire, or sorry, not retire, go back to Korea. And if that happens, I'm just gonna be like, oh my fucking god! Like it's gonna blow my. I mean, the Vikla thing, I think, but like, at the beginning of this split, there was literally conversations where Prince was supposed to be the best import player that we've ever had. And
No, fuck anyone who said that. They were just trolling. Anyone who actually said that. I mean, I said it back then too. I was like, you're trolling if you actually think after 9 games you can call them the best imports ever.
That was
True.
pretty insane,
It was
those
the
first
best
9
import.
games.
But like, man, there was so much. This is what I'm talking about. There was so much investment put into Prince in particular, and that if he just shows up and leaves, I'm just gonna scream.
Wouldn't you like at that point kind of point fingers at Papa, no? Or
I mean, I don't think like who would have had on their bingo card that this FlyQuest team misses top 8 playoffs.
Yeah,
I feel like it's really tough to like actually like point fingers. Now, I
But-
mean, if you're FlyQuest, probably blow it up, but you have no
Yeah,
choice.
that's what I was gonna say. Is like I don't think like it would have been hard to predict. I don't think you did anything wrong building this roster. I don't really hate anything about it. I just think that in the new economic landscape and the success of NA players and how clearly at least some portion of the fan base is happy to see NA players doing well, this roster it's just too risky to try again with this, assuming that they don't all take
Yes.
massive pay cuts to stick together, because presumably they're gonna. I need to look at the GCD, Travis. You tell me how many of these extend through 2023, but assuming that a good portion of them do, you just have to cut them to save money, because otherwise it's just too expensive of a roster that had already failed to run back with no risk.
yeah. I mean, I guess you could try. You could offer them to re-sign them at lower rates, like you could renegotiate. And if they don't have good options, then maybe some
They'll
of
accept.
them stick around. So they're all on FlyQuest. Everybody except for Vulcan is through 2024. Vulcan is 2023. Interesting enough. So they don't even either they didn't want to extend his contract, or he didn't want to extend the contract after going to FlyQuest, which is interesting.
Also, for everyone in the chat that's saying keep Prince and drop the rest, I would very much encourage you to go watch the FlyQuest Challengers games today and watch their marksman Masu, who is my vote for most valuable prospect, and think about how much money Prince is going to cost versus how much money Masu might cost. This guy is really good. When Unforgiven was in the league, he said that Masu, he felt like was his best competition. That was Masu's first split playing competitive. He has scaled way more in the second split. Very much recommend checking him out. He is really, really, really good.
But the GCD says that that's a North American player, Cubby.
Great. Oh,
So
you know,
that doesn't
actually,
make sense.
Yeah.
He's an NA resident, but he's not actually originally from NA. So
Oh,
you-
interesting.
so
Well, then
actually-
that's fine.
Okay, okay.
Good.
Yeah, we do like it when something like that happens. It is something that teams love.
Dual citizenships or OSH players are cool, but straight up Americans and some Canadians, we don't like them.
That's so fucking stupid, this league. Oh my god. Like, it's just like whenever you were, Mark, whatever you were saying, like, well, you know, in this environment where fans are at least excited for North American talent, like, I just don't believe that has any impact on fucking teams and GMs. Like, the only thing that I think has an impact on them is if North American talent is cheaper. Like, it's just going to become costs. It's not. They can't believe.
Realistically, too, like FlyQuest has to be one of the most expensive rosters this year. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, obviously, but
I do.
you can't miss summer playoffs in an 8-team playoffs and then be like, let's run it back again because hopefully it goes better. It's just too risky. So, yeah, there'll be cuts coming.
Yeah. All right. We spent a lot of time on this take for obvious reasons, but thank you so much for the call. Anything that you want to shout out?
Yeah. Shout out Cubby. I like your voice, man. You're really cool. Shout out to you, Travis. I've been watching your content since 2012.
Jesus.
Yeah, and Mark, shout out to you, man. I'm never gonna forget your Silver Scrapes concert. So
I
yeah,
peaked.
you peaked, man. What
2016,
happened, bro?
I
What
peaked.
happened?
I don't
In
know.
his life,
All downhill
honestly.
from there.
Not just career-wise. That was the best Mark's ever going to get.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, thanks so much for the call. We'll catch you next time.
Yeah,
No
thank
problem.
you.
Have a good one, guys. Good night.
See ya.
Love your voice, Cubby. If you could just record some daddy talk for me, I'd
All right.
greatly appreciate it.
That's
So-
Cubby XXX, not Cubby XX.
Oh no.
There's one more X on his Patreon.
Yeah,
Fun-
on his
fun fact.
Twitter.
Only
Yeah.
fans. Yeah.
Fun fact. Well, we grab the next caller.
Yeah.
My grandpa is actually in the Radio Hall of Fame. He was on radio for 60 years, and his voice is deeper than Darth Vader's. I guess Earl Jones.
And
So
he did
yeah.
erotic ASMR.
No, he did. He reported on agriculture around the world. So, yeah, he's got
a lot
some
of
good
people
stories.
hearing him talk about husking corn, and that
Yeah.
that's what they were getting excited about.
If you look up,
Zucchini and cucumbers.
if you look up Orion Samuelson, his voice is way better than mine. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, that's a good one.
All right, Valley is here. Valley, where are you calling from?
I'm from Tel Aviv, Israel.
From Israel. Oh, that's sick. We love getting international callers. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So my take was that FlyQuest is going to bounce back. They're going to win their next 3 games, and they'll just miss Worlds at 4th.
Oh, so we do have another FlyQuest caller.
I thought I did, but then what threw me was that last caller was 100 Thieves caller. But then
Gotcha.
we started talking about FlyQuest, so then I was like, "Is this the FlyQuest call?" And I just lost track of which calls I had.
No,
That's my
it's
bad.
fine. It's fine. Well, because it's probably been a bit of a shorter conversation because we talked about them. But this is our second FlyQuest believer, or maybe the last one was a
100 Thieves hater.
100 Thieves hater. So, Valley, why are you, especially since you probably got to hear the last caller, why are you so confident in FlyQuest?
Okay, so I'm not that confident. It's a hot take, but it can happen. So I think FlyQuest is very in their heads. They're a big mess right now, but they have like 4 proven talents that they had success on other teams, and they're in an upwards trajectory. So they're getting their stuff together, and they're regaining confidence. They're working things out, and there's no reason that they wouldn't be able to beat TSM and Immortals. And with this confidence, they might even take C9. With that said, heading into the playoffs, there are too many good teams for them to get to the level of the top teams in the league, and they'll probably finish 4th at best.
Okay. So, what you say, you think that they're on, you said they're like on the rise or something like that, like they're powering up. They've only won 1 game in their last 6. So it doesn't feel like to me there's much evidence to support the idea that they're like getting better.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's kind of like a feeling thing because in their last game versus Team Liquid, which is it's probably one of the top teams in the league, it did feel like they're going head to head, and that was with Vikla. So it looks much better than the start of the season. I think.
Yeah. Well, Twitch chat has your back. They're pointing out that 1 and 2 is upwards from 0 and 3. So they had a better week last week than they did the week before. So they are increasing in that sense.
I'll throw some more in. They 3-0'd once this split too already. They can 3-0 again.
So I think you have to be a 100 Thieves hater in order to believe this, right, Valley? Because Mark was just saying that 100 Thieves has to go 0-3. So why are you doubting 100 Thieves, right? Because even if FlyQuest goes 3-0, supposedly 100 Thieves will still have the head-to-head.
Wait, and then they're eliminated? In that case?
That is correct, right, Mark?
Well, I think there's one other team who I need to see what the head-to-head is, because Dignitas is tied as well, if I'm not
they might be able to
mistaken.
take the dig spot, you're saying.
Yeah, the dig spot is up for grabs as well. It's also 6-9, and dig head-to-head versus them. They have the 2-0 over FlyQuest. Never mind.
Okay. So
one of those 2 teams needs to go 0-3, and FlyQuest needs to go 3-0.
okay. Okay, so hey, there's another window, and like I do. Well, actually, let me ask you this, Mark and Cubby. What is more likely, 100 Thieves 03 or Dig 03?
Well, Dig and 100 Thieves play each other on Wednesday, so who wins that match? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. There's also Dig versus Golden Guardians and Dig versus TL. So they have 2 top 4 teams, most likely.
Yeah.
And then each other. So I think Dig has a harder schedule, so they're probably more likely. I feel like that match between 100 Thieves is just like coin flip it, man. I don't fucking know.
I think it's more likely that 100 Thieves goes 0-3, just because I despise the lack of proactivity that they use. Whereas I feel like Dig actually do try things, and I'm just going to I'm going to lean towards them with that, just given the harder schedule. I think that, yeah. Also
Rich is willing to go 0-9. No
Yeah.
one on 100 Thieves will go 0-9. They're way too passive to ever end that hard.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So I guess we are in a world where this could maybe happen, Valley, especially because there's at least 2 paths for it. This is not Cubby. Cubby, what was the term that you used? Like 6-way something or other?
6-leg parlay.
Yeah. So this is.
You never bet, Travis? You never done some gamba?
No, that's the devil's temptation. I avoid all that. I only play pure games like opening packs of Magic the Gathering and summoning
and gotcha
Genshin
games.
Impact. Yeah, exactly.
Catch Travis on Kick next week where he.
Listen, the way TGI revenue is going with that Kick money is looking pretty good. Anyway, Valley, let's talk about this. What you said you said it's a hot take, but you're not that confident, which kind of undermines your whole argument. What are the odds that speaking of betting, what odds would you give it that what you said happens, where FlyQuest gets through?
50-50, I'd say.
50-50.
Either it happens or it doesn't? Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you so much for the call, Valley. Anything you want to shout out before we say goodbye?
I'd like to shout out Alienware. I'd like to shout out Hotline League. I've been listening for years. I'm so happy to be on. And I'll shout out the Israeli players in NA, in Supernova Music and Shogo on St. Thomas University.
Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, no,
Let's go.
super appreciate it. It's always cool getting to hear from folks outside of North America. So thanks for calling in. What time is it there?
It's 7 a.m.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, thanks for making the time. Really appreciate it. We'll catch you another time.
Goodbye.
All right, we're gonna take
Medic
Go ahead.
Real quick, Medic in Twitch chat is shaking in his boots about accepting a bet against North America. Twitch chat informed him of the we're willing to already put our lives on the line that NA is winning the 4th place match. And Medic said he was not going to take a bet against.
He said LEC4 is probably Mad Lions. No way I take that bet.
I mean,
Mad Lions is like traumatized that region. It's so funny. All right. Speaking of caller, shout out to Alienware. Thank you, Alienware, for sticking with us and for sponsoring our content. Really appreciate it. They are fantastic. We are running out of time, folks. I've been promoting Black Friday in July. It's still going on as we record this, I think, for a couple more days. You can go to alienware.com/Travis, click over to Dell, and take a look at all of their deals. I'm looking right now, and I see on their website, save $200 on an Alienware 34 QD OLED, or save $450 on an Alienware 38 curved gaming monitor. They have a bunch of really cool products going on sale all the time over there. You can go check it out. Fantastic time to get a great deal on reliable tech. It's not just monitors, by the way. They have a Alienware M17 that is 31% off. You can save $450, get that thing for less than $1,000. Fantastic products over there at alienware.com/Travis. Go check out Black Friday in July. Oh my gosh. An Alienware Aurora R15, $1,000 off. $1,000 off. That thing has a 4090 in it. Some pretty good deals. So again, thank you so much to Alienware for sponsoring the show. There's a link in the description below. If you do purchase something through Alienware or Dell, please do me a favor and click that link before you do so, because then that allows them to make sure that you all are the ones that are purchasing it. It's coming through this thing, and it does actually. They see that, they know that folks are purchasing along those lines. And I saw somebody tweeted at me this past week. I want to see if I can pull their stuff up. Yeah, Alex tweeted at me this past week and was mentioning, also tagged Alienware, that they purchased some new Alienware stuff as a support of the show. So really do love when you guys do that stuff. It goes straight into all the little decks that we create to show off stuff to Alienware. So thank you for everyone who's doing that. Numi linking the links in the chat, but make sure that you go first to alienware.com/Travis before you click any of those links, because we want to make sure that we do that way. So thank you so much, everyone, for doing that. Thanks to Alienware for sponsoring the show. All right, Mark, do you want to go grab the next caller? All right, we got Arcanite Chill, Penny Snatcher, Pig Food, Ixbix, Arv, Marcus Mann, dixiecup, Dragon Severed Head, BWG Testament, and we got more. But first off, Henry is here. Henry, where are you calling from?
Williamsburg, Virginia.
Williamsburg, Virginia. What do you want to talk about on the show?
My take was that Golden Guardians are the best hope for the West.
And you're a little, I turned you up all the way, but you're a little quiet. Can you get closer to your mic, maybe?
Yeah. So my take was that Golden Guardians are the best hope for the West this year at Worlds, and possibly the only hope.
At the Worlds and at Worlds and what?
Ooh.
Maybe their only hope at Worlds for the West.
Oh, for maybe they're, sorry, one more time. It's kind of hard to hear you.
Travis just put a dang headset on. He said that GG is the best hope for Worlds, for West at Worlds, and maybe the only hope. Maybe no one else.
The only hope. Okay, the only. Listen, if I can't hear, there's other people that can't hear.
Well, I can hear it just fine. I got a sick Alienware headset. Get yourself an Alienware headset, buddy. Get ready to learn Chinese.
Okay, I don't know what that means, but so why are you such a Golden Guardians believer?
I mean, I definitely wasn't at the beginning of the split, but watching their games, they've just been able to be really proactive, and also their roster is very experienced. Their top half, like the top half, is very experienced on the international stage, and their bot lane is pretty experienced in the LCS stage, and I think that experience will be able to push them through the Swiss format this year, and I think the Swiss format will benefit them because they are really good at just fighting their games out.
By the way, it was a meme that Mark was referencing, an NBA meme. Okay, do you watch much LEC?
I don't watch a lot of LEC. I have watched some of G2's games.
Okay.
And they are good. But I think that
because when you say the West and maybe you're the only hope for the West, I feel like you need to make sure that you have information on LEC if you're lumping them into this.
Yes, yeah, I do. I mean, G2 is the only team I would be worried about from LEC. I don't think any of the other teams hold validity at Worlds. But I think G2 is that one Western team that we always hope will do great things going into Worlds and just falls flat on their face. If we had a normal group stage, they go 1-5, I think.
All right. Cubby,
oh boy.
Cubby, there's many layers of premise to this. So the first premise is, well, actually, I guess I should say, caller, does this mean you think Golden Guardians is the best team in the LCS?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first layer is Golden Guardians best team in LCS. Then Golden Guardians best team in the West. Then no other team near Golden Guardians in the West. So at what point in time are you jumping off the train, if at all, Cubby, on this layer cake that we got going on?
I feel like the last part of that's most accurate because where I sit right now, I don't think any Western team has a chance at Worlds, based on what I've seen from the other regions. And I will say that LEC is probably the region that I watch the least. But I do try to catch the most G2 games because I really appreciate when teams have unique takes on the game. And G2 for me is a team that consistently has a unique take on the game and how to play things out early. And for me, I actually think if there are going to be any hopes for the West at Worlds, it's probably going to be G2. Because I depending on the group that's drawn, I think that G2 has the most curveballs up their sleeves where they're going to play differently than what the teams are used to. And if they can do so successfully, I do think that might be the best path to success for teams. So, but from what I see, I think the LPL is super deep this split. LCK is a lot weaker this split actually compared to the LPL in my opinion. But hopefully they clean things up. And then probably best Western team is G2. So I still have the most faith in G2 actually.
My minor thing is just that the group system is gone. We're into Swiss world now.
It is.
So, we'll have to see how that impacts things. I have been causing a stink about the fact that they are not seeding it. The Swiss thing. I really
what?
hope they do.
They aren't seeding it?
That was what was said, and I don't hope that sticks. I've talked about it in a couple videos now. I always bring it up. I really hope they seed Swiss. It sounds like it is random matchups the whole way through.
That's how we run our Magic the Gathering group on Sundays. They have the same level of finesse.
You do play obviously within like your record group, so 1-0s will play 1-0s, but like within that, it sounds random.
But I assume there are rules like you can't. I assume there's no.
Yeah, no. I don't know all the rules around it, so it's probable that like if you play someone again, if you go 1-0 beating someone and then you meet them again when you're both 1-1, I would assume there's a rule that says you can't play them again. But I also don't know if that's true. So,
but I also assume regions can't play each other. Like it's random, but I assume at the start people don't all play each other.
I would assume, but given that you're random and not seeded at all, it does not give me much hope for how great that'll be. So like you could easily get like the best Chinese and Korean teams playing each other right out the gate, and then one of them 0-1, and then maybe they're playing their own region again at 0-1 because someone else lost one, and then they're at 0-2. Like weird shit can happen.
Okay.
Which is not really the point of this take, but
I still have the most faith in G2, especially if more weird shit's gonna happen. They always seem to get the luck of the draw.
That's true.
Multiple people in the chat are saying that's how Swiss works.
No. I think the best format for Swiss is adaptive seeding. So there's set seeding, and then if there's an upset, the upset takes over the seeding of the team that they beat.
Yeah, I think you should still seed your first round of Swiss. Outside that, I don't super care, but like you should absolutely seed your first round. There's no reason that you shouldn't have a 1 seed playing a 16 seed to start. And it's it's speculative, of course, but like, why the fuck would you not do that? And
would we just get a bunch of
for people who don't know, adaptive seeding meaning like if the 16 team did beat the 1 team, they are now the 1 team in the pooling, right? Yeah, okay.
It's very fun.
Yeah. If you just to work really quickly through this, theoretically, you would probably just have all the Korean and Chinese teams playing all the North American and European teams if you seeded it that way, right, Mark?
More or less. I think you can do a couple things. Like if you want to take the European number 1 seed and pretend that they're better than the LPL, LCK 3 seed, go ahead. I don't, that's fine. No, I think most people wouldn't care if it's not like perfectly seeded, because we've never had perfectly seeded groups because we always pretend that there's some level of regional parity when there's not. So, I think there's a couple versions you could do that's not just like East versus West first round.
I think last week I even pitched having a first round where like a lot of teams play each other, like what they do in Dota 2, and then having seeding from that, which would give you a lot of matchups that are fun. It would be an appropriate way to incorporate best of ones, and then seeding wouldn't be. You could actually like not pretend that EU and NA 1 seed are the same as LPL and LCK 1 seed.
This is how Mark just Trojan horsed his thing he wanted to talk about on the show through this take.
Cubby said they go 1-5 in groups, and I was just like, well, to be fair, it's not groups. And
Mark
that's all
saw
I started with.
This caller had a world's take, and he's like, oh yeah, this is ridiculous, but
I've talked about this before. I have brought this up before. I'm surprised people don't know, and maybe they'll change it. There's no reason. The tournament hasn't started yet. No one's qualified yet, I don't think.
Yeah, but it might be in the rule book or something where they feel like they can't.
Who the fuck? You are the rules. You are Riot. Just change them if you want.
All my homies hate competitive integrity.
No one's going to be like, oh shit, you made it better? Damn it. I was planning on it being in like random seed. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if they'll tweak it, or maybe, it was like a first draft and they hadn't like ironed out all the kinks yet. I don't know, but that was what was said way back in the day. Anyways, back to the caller's point. Europe is so lucky they dodged us at MSI. We would have exposed them as frauds. They're so lucky there was a maw bug last time. They're so lucky they drew ANX in quarters. Like, honestly, Europe's never been better than North America. They've just been fucking luckier. You can go back and look at all the luck that's gone their way. Just lucker dogs all the way through.
Medic in the chat says true and base. So we even have the confirmation from European talent.
They're fucking lucky that we took out IG for them so that they could win an MSI. You know, because God forbid they had to play them.
So true. So true. Mr.
Actually,
Rowe
that's
says
how NA wins. Just
they
play
need
Skarner.
Nick Allen with envelopes again, and my God, that is a throwback. I absolutely love it. If you remember that, then you've been around for a very, very long time.
Hey, that's a good throwback.
I still try to post that once a year whenever I think about this stuff.
That's a good throwback.
Yeah, I need to post it again this year, being like behind the scenes of Riot figuring out, randomly drawing the Swiss matchups. All right, so wait, Mark, you need to give your take because Cubby did on the Golden Guardian stuff. At what stage are you hopping off? Golden Guardians best in A, Golden Guardians best West, Golden Guardians way better than everybody else in the West.
I don't think I ever boarded the train. I don't think I watched that train just sail off into the sunset. I want to believe that Golden Guardians is better than C9 a little bit just because it would be fun, but I don't think they are. I think they have certain things that could translate better to the international stage. I think that sometimes, I don't want to say cheesier game plans, but River's a madman, and I can see him doing things to throw teams that aren't familiar with Golden Guardians for a loop. I think C9 has them downloaded domestically, but I could see a world where Golden Guardians does some stuff.
Do you think Golden Guardians are a top 3 team in the West?
Ooh. I'll be honest and say I haven't watched enough Europe to know for sure.
I haven't either, so I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, fuck it, YOLO. Yeah, they're better. Yeah. Then the best 3 teams in the West are actually C9, GG, and TL.
Yeah. I have a lot of respect for G2. Fnatic, but yeah, we'll see if Fnatic even makes. I think Fnatic's good, but we'll see if Fnatic even makes the championship.
Medic says, Medic says Fnatic, depending on meta read, and XL actually look good.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier in the show that Noah Trimby are a bot lane that I would be scared of if Fnatic actually made 4 seed.
So it's championship points that would end up fucking over Fnatic?
Yes. Terrible.
They were terrible in winter.
Dude, I love it. It's so funny. If that ends up happening and EU fans are pissed, I'm just going to be like, God damn. It's just so funny because Mark and I get so much heat for like doubting this European Fnatic or
to be fair, I have never. Yeah, and to be fair, because some of the stuff we got is like, I don't think the championship points have much to do with the format. They are different. I was more concerned about format for viewership, burnout.
Yeah, but you also don't like championship points. I feel like you've shit on them previously.
But I'm saying like you could make a system that's the exact same that doesn't use championship points. Like the championship points is a stupid tack on to a 3 split system that like you didn't need, you know?
Yeah. Well,
so like that's the stuff that I think everyone unanimously hates championship points. I was concerned about viewership burnout at the start of the year with 3 splits and these kinds of things. Who knows? Jury's still out, whatever. But like, yeah, those are different.
In chat, Gerg says, so just 1 split doesn't qualify? I'm not sure what the question is, but I appreciate it. I
don't know. It's a question of how you do 3 splits if there's only 2 international tournaments, which is a fair question, but I don't think championship points has to be the answer.
Use winter split, incorporate some UM teams, and just have it be a really fun big tournament, and then have 2 splits.
Yeah, sure. Something like that.
If it doesn't matter for Worlds, that'd be a fun way to do it.
3 splits if it means you only get 1 offline event, but I feel like that's what Riot's going to do because they're going to be like, oh, Spring never sells as well, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just... It's getting to a point now where sometimes I just feel like I see the doom in front of me, and I can't stop it. All right. Caller, thank you so much for the call. I don't think people are behind you on the Golden Guardians best in the West thing, but I appreciate it. And maybe whenever they make it further than anybody else does, I can clip this video out, stick it on my YouTube channel, and get some revenue. So thank you for the call. Anything you want to shout out?
Oh, yeah. You guys, Alienware, and Amumu Mains. All right, good night, guys.
Thanks. Have a good one.
My whole thing for whatever your format ends up being is that you should send the best teams at the time that the cutoff happens. I never want to reward teams and send them to an international tournament based off something they did months ago.
Yes.
So I really don't care how you solve it. I think there are multiple ways you can do it, but my solution is never championship points. I think that just is bad always.
I think you end up with so much opportunity for downside there, where like people get angry at the team for going. They feel like they like cheated or like they don't deserve it, and they get a lot of hostility from the fans. You end up like a lot of what ifs. Oh well, if this team was there, they probably would have won this instead. Blah blah blah. Like it's just there's too much opportunity for like shitty feelings and stuff. So.
There's no precedent for that in American sports, and this is a game that changes every 3 weeks too. So screw championship points.
Yeah. All right. Mark is off to grab the next caller. We got in the sub list Papyr for 35 months, Yeti for 2 years, Maro Official, Don Nardo, Jordasaur, M. Lewis No for 2 years, and Joe Goat Ba gifted a sub to Gerg in the chat. So thank you to everybody who's sending the subs. Those are actually very, very helpful. Munchkin is here. Munchkin, where are you calling from?
Calling from Denver, Colorado.
Denver, Colorado. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So I wanted to talk about how NRG will be going to Worlds.
NRG is going to Worlds. All right. How is that happening?
That happens in a couple different ways. First things first, just looking at the last week, I basically said all the teams towards the top are going to go 3-0, all the teams towards the bottom 0-3. There won't really be upsets, which will cause NRG, after EG loses a tiebreaker to Team Liquid, to be up against EG in the first round. And with EG kind of faltering the same way 2021 Spring C9 did, Summit Berserker is really just JoJo Unforgiven again. JoJo's been solved and people are learning how to beat EG. NRG gets through the first round. So now they either upset Golden Guardians or Cloud9, or when they fall down to the lower bracket, they get to take on the winner of like TSM Dig. And so long as they do that, they are the fourth team. And like we decided earlier in the call, the fourth team from NA will beat the fourth team from EU, and then they're in Worlds.
All right. I think your fourth, I don't think they upset Golden Guardians Cloud9, though I guess I can understand why you put that there because you're like, well, it could happen, so it's like another path for them. But yeah, I feel like the biggest premise here, or like the toughest pill to swallow, if one has to swallow it, is the EG side. But they have been looking weaker lately, so from a narrative perspective, and that's really what we care about on this show, it seems very reasonable that could be the case.
I think it's also really important to point out that NRG has actually beaten every single team in the league except for Immortals and TSM. Like they took a game off EG, C9, TL, and Golden Guardians already. They actually beat Golden Guardians twice. So they definitely have the ceiling to hit. They just have to hit it in the right moment.
No, I like this call because I think a lot of us have been forgetting about NRG.
Yeah. I honestly do like this call. I think the biggest difference for me with NRG, I want to give a lot of props actually to Palafox. I forget which week it was. I think it was after the first round robin. Palafox made a tweet saying like, hey, I've been playing my best. I feel like if I play better, we win some more games. I would 100% agreed because behind the scenes, I somewhat had the running joke of like every time I see Palafox play, I'm reminded about why Copy retired, which is mean, but also I think he was playing really poorly. And then Palafox came out 3-0 this week, was player of the week, and I thought played out of his goddamn mind. So I think that as long as Palafox can continue to play at the level he is, I actually really feel like NRG can step up. I think the meta change has been really good for him too, because FBI is good on Kaisa. I think that the Zai Kaisa meta has been a little bit better for FBI, who has always just kind of been the Aphelios player in the Aphelios Jinx meta. And it also swapped over to Engage Supports. So we have Ignar in, again, on Engage Supports, which is fine. So I like seeing that it's going to be like EG, TL, NRG, TSM. What is that, like 4 teams competing for 2 slots most likely? I mean, a 50-50. Could I lean NRG? Yeah, I actually think like the patch is okay for them right now, and I think they're playing really well around it.
Yeah,
It's doable.
I want to believe in NRG. I think that they looked really bad for the first 2 weeks and it's a compressed schedule, but they're rallying late, and they've done this the last 3 splits. They did it in spring and they did it last summer, where they end up 4th in the regular season or something off of like some good final weeks. And then they like lose in playoffs, but they always look kind of reasonable as they lose, like close series versus C9 and stuff like that. So I want this team to have a like breakout split, just like these players. They are inconsistent, unfortunately, and so it's like hard to really predict them. And they are also like even inconsistent in game, like even a game where they're playing well, like they'll just int or something.
Yeah.
So like it's very scary to predict them to win best of fives. I'm not confident that they'll go to Worlds, but it is true that like outside Golden Guardians and C9, anyone in the top 6, so those 2 are going for sure, but then the next 4 of the 6 I could all see making Worlds under different scenarios, where like my favorites are still EG and TL, but both of them have enough downsides that like I could see an NRG going over them or TSM going over them. I think TSM's maybe my least expected of the top 6, just because I feel like they might have the most potential downside. Like I think the same way that people gave JoJo like the JoJo treatment, I wonder if people are just gonna like fucking camp Insanity soon or something like that, or in playoffs maybe they realize that, because it does feel like Haunster's not a huge threat, and while Turtle is playing well with Chime, it's not really laning stuff. It's like Chime roams on Rakan, they have a good Rift Herald fight, and then Turtle scales on 2 items and is really good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think that teams should start taking Jinx away from TSM, and part of it's Turtle, but I think part of it's also that Haunter like has to play tank or Renekton, and Jinx just is really good behind that. I probably have the least amount of faith in TSM.
Yeah, they can still do it, but
yeah. EG to me is a weird team because JoJo was 1v9 and now he's not, and they had a bad week, and I still have faith in EG, but I think they've almost come back down to earth. Like in 0-3 week from this EG roster, not surprised. I know that like people are surprised like it hasn't happened yet, but honestly, I'm not surprised looking at this team. Like this was a team that probably wasn't going to be first in the LCS standings. They were playing like it, but also I remember like talking to EG, they're like, why? Like how are we winning? Teams just walking into us. I feel like teams have actually gotten a little bit better, and we kind of saw EG fall off. I still have NRG in 5th, but if NRG take 4th, not surprised. And I think that they deserve some credit after a 3-0 week and a Palafox performance where he has been playing much better. So props to Palafox on that.
Yeah, EG this week played C9, Golden Guardians, and FlyQuest and lost to all 3. The FlyQuest one's the most surprising. Their C9 loss, I actually felt like they played okay despite losing. And then they also lost to Energy last week. So they're 3-4, or excuse me, 1-4 in their last 4. So not very good looking. And I would say Team Liquid has probably climbed over them in my like personal like internal power ranking in my head. Like Team Liquid can throw literally any game, but they are so fucking good at the early game.
Well, I just like this take a lot because it kind of forces me to think about NRG, which is a team that I've been kind of ignoring for the most part as like a middle of the pack. Like NRG of the teams in the LCS, I think have had maybe alongside Golden Guardians the most expected split. Like Cloud9 I think was shakier than a lot of people thought. A lot of other teams have been underperforming or overperforming, and NRG's just kind of like hanging out, doing NRG stuff. But I think I had not really thought about how they've been able to beat so many teams, and especially the Golden Guardians stat is interesting. So I could see it happening, but I don't know. I feel like that 4th spot. I mean, Mark kind of said it right, where it's like, what did you say? 4th and 3rd are open, Mark?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a good assessment. I feel like Energy also already struggles in best of 5s, but I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, thank you so much, Munchkin, for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we go into the next caller?
Shout out to like the NA talent. I feel like the C9 Lounge, Dokla's shot calling and casting, all of that's just been phenomenal, and the personalities have really shined through, especially in Mark's content with catching up with Doublelift and the Are You Smarter Than? So just shout out to actually making it fun to watch.
Yeah, it's all Mark. He's doing everything. He's hard carrying the LCS on his back, and it's still struggling. Anyway, thank you so much for the call. Munchkin, we'll catch you next time. Mark, you did actually receive. I saw a lot of people freaking out about your. Was it you and Raz, and was it Dokla? Who was it that you cast? Was it the two of you guys casting with somebody?
You don't watch the broadcast, man. It was with Flowers and Azale.
No.
You don't even read the Reddit comments right. The Reddit comments, it was in the thread for Raz and Dokla, but they were saying also shout out to the cast with me, Flowers, and Azale.
Oh, then it was Raz and Dokla. Who was casting with Raz and Dokla?
Flowers.
Okay, so then it wasn't even you. People were mostly excited about Raz, Dokla, Flowers.
You guys had the Dig IMT game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys want to see more games of that quality, Challengers League starts tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific on LCS_Challengers and /Path to LCS. It's fun.
All right, Mark, off you go. Tactical just resubbed. Wait, where did Tactical? Tactical set a prime. Thank you, Tactical. Tactical, you need to go back. Mark was hyping you up. Mark, do you see Tactical use this prime on the channel?
No, but of course Tactical knows I'm hyping him up. He sees the predictions every day.
Yeah, well,
I don't know if he listened to that cast, but
he's been good this split.
That's actually sick.
I said get him a fucking team. And
Tactical says only because Mark Z is based. All right, Observer is here. Observer, where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm calling from Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Oh, you are so quiet. Could you get a little louder?
Can you hear me? Hello. Testing 1, 2.
Yes,
3.
go for it. What's sorry, where are you calling from?
Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Palafox, Nova Scotia. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Not quite Palafox, but my take was that the MVP frontrunners, none of them have won a Player of the Week so far.
Okay, so
that is clearly showing that the voting for one of these two systems is a little wonky and something's going weird. If we can have a bunch of people talking about Player of the Week and then a bunch of people talking about MVP, and there's no overlap here.
Well, one, I don't know if a lot of people are talking about Player of the Week as much as MVP, but secondly, who do you perceive to be the MVP front runners in the conversation, just so that we're on the same page?
So the top three for me would be JoJo, Berserker, and Blaber. With earlier in the split, Rich was in this conversation. I don't think Rich is still in that conversation. And the one exception to my take here is Insanity, I've heard mentioned, but I also don't think he's seriously in the conversation. And that begs the question of who's won Player of the Week so far, which is...
They had a graphic up.
Yeah, it was Summit, Prince, Armeo, Insanity, and Palafox. And if you were to say that any of those were to win MVP, I think a lot of people would disagree with that.
Okay, so counterpoint, you can look at a player who performs at a high level consistently over the course of 5 to 6 weeks and be like, this player is like always good and always popping off, versus players that have very high peaks and high valleys. Because it's possible, right, for one player to, like, especially because of strength of schedule, maybe one team gets to go up against 3 mediocre teams over the course of 3 days and just, like, demolishes these people, and they get Player of the Week, versus players who have to consistently perform against teams of all levels, and they end up like looking better over the course of the split, right?
True. I agree with that.
So then
part of what prompted me to put this take in the first place is that I know Player of the Games count for MVP votes at the end, and Player of the Weeks don't. And there's a bit of a difference there that is strange to me, that I kind of wanted to have a conversation about. of like, why do we count player of the games, which I think are voted on by all the same people, but not player of the weeks? And like, does this award actually mean anything? Like, what is the purpose of this?
Wait, when did
is it just an excuse to have an interview?
Mark? Am I insane? When did player of the game start getting counted for MVP?
Couple years ago, I think.
It's done in other regions too. It's how LCK gets
Okay.
theirs.
Yeah, LCK has always done it, and I think we copied it from them semi-recently.
Okay.
Semi-recently meaning, again, a couple of years. But,
Okay.
You know.
This I don't fault myself for being ignorant to what cast you were doing that people got excited about. I do fault myself for not realizing this. I feel like it's not communicated very prominently, but Observer knows it, and I didn't.
It was a conversation last year because Takui had a bunch of player of the games that I think he had the most, and so they gave him a bunch of points. So I think he snuck into like third team All Pro off of that or something.
Maybe I've also not been that surprised because most of the time you kind of know who the MVP is by the time it hits.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. Cubby, did you have something before I tangent a little bit?
I mean, for me, like, the two frontrunners for me are Blaber and JoJo, and I think JoJo needs to have a little bit of a redemption because, unfortunately, when it comes to these awards, recency bias counts a little bit, and JoJo did go 0-3 this past week. I will say that part of the 0-3, I think, it's how EG plays. Like, what was the FlyQuest game? That game was over so fast for the side of EG, and EG, I think, play very aggressive early and sometimes take risks. They didn't work, so I think that this is just kind of like things catching up to EG, and again, this is kind of where I expect their team to be in. Blaber has 6, and I think JoJo has 4 when it comes to Pogs. So those are the two like front runners. I think for MVP, with at the moment for me, Blaber is like my front runner by a pretty decent enough margin to say that he'd be my MVP if the split ended tomorrow. I just think player of the week it's a, hey, you played these sets, this set of 3 games really well. Whereas, so for me, that really doesn't matter nearly as like much as Pogs. I think that when you're going to look at the split as a whole, like counting up Pogs matters more instead of like, all right, in an 18-game season, like what clump of 3 games, you know, I don't want to give extra points for that, like being on a hot streak. I don't think that matters when you count up the 18 games at the end.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said. I think Pogs are more indicative to the caller's point, being like, why is the player of the week an MVP candidate but never won player of the week or something? Whereas at least Pogs, it does seem to match where it's like Blaber and JoJo are the 2 MVP candidates for most people, and then people struggle to find a third that's not another C9 player or Insanity, who I think unfortunately, and I was going to say the other problem is for most of the other positions, like for Golden Guardians, most of those guys are also not going to win first team All Pro, and it's really hard to win an MVP when, like, okay, I agree River's insane, but Blaber's better, and then I'm like, well, how am I going to, you know? So I think Huhi might have an outside shot for that reason. I think Huhi is the best support in the league this split. And I think maybe Summit has been good enough in top lane and lane that some people might throw some votes his way. Because I did an interview with Dokla about it, and he was like, yeah, he's fucking crazy for the first, 15 minutes. And he does damage in team fights, but then he dies too much. I'm not going to do it. I care too much about not dying in side lanes, I guess. But anyways, it is true, I think, that player of the week, people too often vote the 3-0 player, regardless of how good they actually did. Sometimes in that 3-0, Prince got it one week, and I was like, we sure about that, And I think, like,
I called it a narrative vote.
Yeah, it was absolutely a narrative vote. I don't want to throw my colleagues under the bus. People have their own reasoning and stuff.
I was there that week,
also...
so.
Yeah. I voted Stixay that week because I was like, what the fuck? Stixay, like, absolutely smurfed those games. Like, he actually won them 2, and they should have won 3, but his team trolled him. And then I think there was like the JoJo versus Armeo week where both of them played very well, and Armeo got it. But I think, our JoJo probably should have gotten it because most of the leads like were created by him, or like, so like it's tough. But I do think it is a good call out that, like, hey, player of the weeks don't like hold up that well in retrospect sometimes.
I just don't know if I see the link between MVP and player of the week as much.
No,
like,
I agree. I agree with Cubby, who said, like, I don't think player of the week should feed into, because the caller asked what's the point of a player of the week. I think it's just to say, hey, that player had a good week, and you give him a little statue and a sponsored interview.
I was about to say it's a sponsor requirement. It's a sponsor fulfillment. It's the purpose of it.
Hey, no, it would probably exist even without a sponsor requirement. Okay, we sold it because it's cool.
Interview's
But
good.
you probably would not get a 3D printout statue if it wasn't sponsored. But yeah,
Those are cool.
I don't think it needs to play into something at the end of the season. Versus like you can pick up player of the games, a lot of them, and be like, well, this person played really well over all these games. Whereas like a 3-game split shouldn't matter more than like 3 spread out.
Hey, thanks so much, Observer, for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we go on to the next caller?
Just one quick note there. I actually agree. I don't think the thing should actually point in there. I mostly just wanted to bring up that the voting's been a little weird. And when you look back at it, some of them just don't really make sense from like a performance perspective. So yeah. In terms of shout out AoE Gold down in Challengers League. They've had a much better second round robin than the first
Yes,
one.
they have.
I'm excited to see how far they can go in playoffs.
Yes, they have. Will is a fun jungler. And yeah, the team's got some good things going for him.
Very good. Thank you so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Challengers enjoyers. Yes.
I know. What's going on? Are these your plants, Cubby? Are they showing up here because of you?
Yeah, the fake actors. The PayPal's been active today.
All right, we got Michael here. Michael, where are you calling from? Oh, Michael, I see your microphone lighting up.
Uh-oh. Let me try.
Is this the Discord bug?
I'm calling.
Oh,
got
him at the end.
Oh,
hello, Michael. Where are you calling from? I feel like he's lagging.
yeah, it's weird.
Let's try it on air too.
Okay.
Michael, can you hear us?
What the fuck is this nonsense?
All right. Oh, hello. Hi.
Yeah.
Can you respond right now to me saying this?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. He's definitely lagging. Okay. We're going to send Michael back to the waiting room. He can figure out the lag situation.
I'm just a little laggy.
All right, how about
Sorry.
this? How about Michael says his take, but he doesn't get to interact with us?
I just think the internet will be better for Michael if we get another caller. We should give him at least an attempt.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right. Michael goes off. We find another caller. By the way, if anybody's watching live, can you guys do me a favor? I need to test something. Can you hover your cursor over the screen and click the purple crown? And then if it says like sub or whatever free sub, just hit that button. Let me see if it works. I just need to test the functionality of this new widget on Twitch. Okay, Xanafall, it worked for them presumably. Anybody else, that purple crown widget, is it working for any of you? No, it's not working for you guys? Okay. All right. Oh, it looks like it worked for Jazzy Reporter and Billy Spilgrimage. All right. We got Dixiecup here. Dixiecup, where are you calling from?
I am calling from Los Angeles, California.
Los Angeles, California. What do you want to talk about on the show?
I wanted to talk about, I feel like the LCS players do not take enough opportunities to put their face out there. So for example, like coming on Hotline League, like no offense to Cubby and everything, love Cubby. Cubby's great. But like, why are LCS players not doing more opportunities to get their face out there, whether that be streaming, whether that be coming on like Hotline League and things like that? I know they get paid a good amount of money to play in the LCS, but this is coming from a fan that, one, I love North America. I hope they do well, but it's coming more from a sense of, I want these players who play and support us in North America to have a longevity lifestyle. So like, why are they not doing more to put their name out there for when, for example, JoJo playing super well, does amazing on the stage. Why is he not putting his name out there more for when in 3 years from now, maybe JoJo's a past thought and he has a streaming career because he's built this up in the past. So that is kind of my take.
So JoJo is probably the best example of this, but I will say that two kind of counter arguments in defense of the players, which I realize people hate anytime somebody defends players. There are a decent amount of players who stream now, I think. Mm-hmm. Like I've seen Dokla, Tactical, Fudge. Some folks are saying M&S does. Blaber. So it looks like a lot of the C9 players do. Some days streaming. Revenge does streams. Some Shin says Quid streams. I think there's a lot. Busio says David. Gerg says Huhi. So I think there's a decent amount of players who are streaming. And sadly, I don't know if people are noticing that they're streaming, and so I think that that's part of it. And I think a lot of it too is like people are not going. None of these folks have become like mega personalities because we rotate players in and out of the league every 5 seconds, and so a lot of them have not gotten to the point yet where they're streaming. Like LS just popped in chat.
Yeah,
and
I was
says
about to say.
they're all streaming to low 100 or sub 100 viewers. They can't build a brand off that. Collabs almost never happen, and their socials are dead. People don't realize how hard becoming a large stream is, or even mid-sized now. I think that's part of it. It's kind of a chicken and the egg situation where like the league cannot push a ton of viewers to you, so you don't get a lot of viewers, and then people aren't catching.
Well, I think the big problem is that the league doesn't push viewers to their streams. Like, discoverability has always been bad on Twitch. Like, it's very hard to do that. And, you know, the socials of teams and the YouTube for teams are all way, way, way down. But realistically, these players should be getting more. It's just like, I don't think the league has like pushed their Twitch channels, or like growth is harder now, and the league is obviously not doing as well in viewership, and like doesn't have the same pull that it once had. Where like back in the day, if you joined TSM and you were the new mid laner, like bam, or like whatever position, like you become famous instantly, and like that doesn't happen anymore. But I also don't think it should be as bad as it is for guys like Dokla at 100 viewers and stuff like LS is talking about. Like, it is very hard to become even mid-size right now, but I think it could be done with the LCS and the orgs actually bolstering these players up. But I think a lot of people don't do it because there's no incentive for them to. So like, it doesn't, or not any direct incentive to do it.
Also want to hop on what Medic just dropped in chat too. Like, consistency being hard, because obviously this is not a full-time job. Whereas a lot of streamers, like what LS was talking about in chat, this is a full-time job for content creators, right? And a lot of content creators put in the full-time effort to just do the stream, whereas for players, a lot of it is an afterthought. And I think where orgs have, I think, gotten stagnant is some of the packages and what they do to actually help players with their own stream. Like, broadcast value has gone up a lot throughout the years. A lot of players, it's just kind of like one scene, throw in a client. They get a window that like flips through the sponsors for the team, and that's about it. I think there are some things that teams could do to actually bridge the gap and try and help players actually have a nicer stream when they first boot up. Also, from the business side of things, where a lot of money is going, because things have gotten so saturated in the space and there are so many creators, a lot of like people that actually put money into content creators, they've narrowed up where they're putting in money, because there are big creators that they can work with, and if they pay more to work with big creators, they don't have to pay as many managers to actually manage what used to be kind of like small to mid-tier streamers or events that were going on for tournaments. So like, kind of like money's just gotten narrowed up, and there's the same amount of money just going to fewer people who can afford to do this full time. But it's really tough now to kind of bridge that gap, to try and like get yourself to the place where you can actually afford to have your own things. Like, I can't remember the last time I saw a player like have their own ad, or like have like their own deal. Like, they were able to negotiate like outside their team. Whereas way back when, I don't want to say that was common, but I feel like players had more opportunities. Like when Riot originally lifted the lid off of League players and said you can stream other games, because that used to be
that
a
was
thing.
That was only for 3 weeks though, Cubby.
Yeah,
like a couple weeks. Yeah.
It was, but like once they lifted that lid off, you saw a lot more opportunity, especially because it lasted longer for casters. So like that's when you were able to see like them start to make their own content. I feel like there was more of a boon or a spike from like 2015 to 17, and things are just more saturated now. Not just in League, but like in gaming as a whole.
Well, yeah, but like, I mean, no offense to Travis and I, we have 770, which is like not even great for our own viewership. And then like, if you look at the English speaking League of Legends streamers right now, we're like on the 3rd row. And then the next LCS person is Someday at 236, and then there's a handful of other people streaming right now. Dokla's at like,
well, that's just because those guys
100.
made the terrible decision to stream against Hotline.
Yeah, and that's, I guess that's my point. It's more not towards the players, but especially after this conversation, I thought like as an outsider looking in, I know they have scrims, they have all this stuff. It's more towards, I guess, the league as a whole of like, why are they not pushing these players who and orgs of, hey, we have Someday at 236, we have Dokla at 76. I see right now. We have
Yawn at 69,
like,
even
Yawn
even
at
Fake
69,
God at
Fake
109.
Gods at 109. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, why can we not? And all these orgs putting money into these content creators outside of their actual sports. Like, let's promote these people that are actually playing the sport and help them build a longevity outside of the career when they're not going to inevitably play. Like, not everyone's a double lift that plays for 10 years, right? People play for 3 years, but it helps them build a career where they can build alongside of that over the years and help have a sustainable life.
So a couple of other things. One, I do think this criticism was better made in the past, and then because I remember we did used to complain about this. I actually think that probably not because of us, but in general, more players did start streaming, perhaps because they realized that it was probably a good idea to start hedging their bets. Two, I do think that there are some people that can balance it because clearly they do. Like it is a fair call out that Medic is saying where it's like hard to do it consistently, but also like some players do it consistently. So clearly some can. Three, I think one thing to call out is that the players themselves, I don't think do a good job of tweeting or talking about this stuff. Like I interview these players, they do not shout out their streams in my interviews with them,
which is troll as fuck.
They get interviewed on LCS. I doubt LCS would freak out if at the end Fudge was like, wait. Make sure you watch me on Fudgy Cakey on Twitch or whatever it is his handle is. Like, there are ways for them to leverage promotion of their streams in ways that they aren't doing now. So I think that is a fair call out. And I think that they should just they should just really do as much as they can of that, because I think that there are lots of ways they could do it. And I think it'd be hard for people to get angry with them doing it. The last thing is, you mentioned Hotline League. Unfortunately, the scrim schedule, when it got changed, and also when Mark and I moved from 8 to 7, it did become a lot harder for players to come on, because we have tried to book players. Like Insanity was down, but they book late night scrims and they end around 8 or 9. So it's hard for the players to come on Hotline League, even though I think we would love to have them on, and I know a lot of players who would be down to come on the show. Now, I already say that, and then the players are coincidentally in the chat whenever that's happening, but I think
but it's easy to pop in for 2 seconds and write some like tactical shit post for 3 minutes and fucks off. That doesn't mean you got 2 hours free. And I think the pros have done a good job with like the LCS content of doing more. And I think how we actually get viewers to watch these guys on their personal streams is something like, hey, come on Hotline League, we'll raid you after directly, immediately, for at least, that'll get some
I've
viewers.
got some obligations sometimes, but
nope, that's not. Travis, what's more important to the longevity of the team? By the way, we pulled LS. He's in here.
Hello. No, I know. I was going to say, I noticed another caller snuck in here. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
My name's Nick. I'm from South Korea.
Nice. We love having international callers call into the show.
Yes.
What would you like to? Are you a big LCS fan, Nick from South Korea? I know LCK's big.
I watch LCS every week.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Well, we love to hear about international callers that watch LCS. What do you like to say on the show?
Well, no, I just asked to join particularly like on this take because I think that a lot of people, again, they don't realize how difficult it is to brand grow. And this was something I always tried to be really vocal about with like Fudge back in the day when he was on C9, or like Max Waldo, Nemesis, like people that I've had on my streams, right? And Dom has people on his streams. And the other thing that I think a lot of people are not realizing about these LCS players is that the average league audience is in their mid-20s right nowadays. Yep. And the other problem is that even if LCS ends or shows end, etc., it's really difficult to attract organic Twitch viewers to the stream. And when there's not collaborations going on and people hate using socials, or they finish a long day of like scrims or whatever else, they don't want to be doing all of these other things to grow their brands. And that's where the difficulty is.
What do you think that there are ways they should be doing this, or like is there some sort of solution for this that you've thought of, LS? Because clearly they have to grow their brands, right? Like we need that as well. And so I guess it's like what are there ways for them to balance this?
So one of the things that I think is like kind of nuts is, and I understand that he's being like sort of canceled right now, is there was that Fnatic ADC player Reptile. And for the last month, he was doing all these infographics with like 80 carry itemization and builds. And he was getting insane views on his tweets.
I played the Kaisa
his
build.
tweets.
I played his Kaisa build. I will say that.
Sure. And people were talking about it. There were pro players that were engaging with him. No one knew who this guy was if you go back a couple of months. Literally no one. So he was actually doing really good content creation, and he was targeting stuff that it's a market that people don't want to do it and they CBA. But it's already really difficult getting pro players on like co-streams. Like Travis, you said just a couple of minutes ago, like even when you do interviews with them, they don't actually try to plug any of their socials. They don't engage. And even when they do stream, it feels like more to them they're doing it almost because they have to, or that something else is going on. But I think the solution to it, well, one thing that I think actually should change is Riot should bring back duo queue for higher MMR. Because I think that's one of the things that made pro players stop doing with each other. And when they're doing with each other, they're probably incentivized to stream. Like 2v2v2 mode is actually kind of nuts because we've had so many collabs with people that you would never get to see in a collaborative game mode with each other. So I think this new game mode is going to be insane, and I hope that pro players utilize it. But I think Riot also should bring back high MMR duo queue.
I think it's definitely true that I don't know how much of it is like laziness versus like some people just don't legitimately know how to grow their streams. Like they turn it on and they stream, but like they don't know how to be entertaining. They're not good at that. It doesn't come natural to them. Yeah. And like a lot of pros, I think, do just kind of like turn the stream on and hope that they grow, and it doesn't happen. They don't know what to do. I think someone else who has done a really good job building their brand in the last like year is Molecule. I know he's not a pro player, but this guy, like, I don't know where he came from, but just
all
like
his content.
Yeah, a year or two ago, he just started tweeting at me and everyone else in the scene. And it's like, wait, you're providing value on Twitter. I like your infographics. You're like asking questions about builds. Like, fuck yeah, I'll interact with. If you do something cool, people will like interact with you. And I think a lot of pros are so busy with scrims and all these other things, they don't think about how to like the number one thing you can ever do in life, any field, is figure out how to provide value. And like Molecule found that out with making easily digestible graphics on Twitter for people to reference and like help aggregate information and stuff like that. And he's up to 21K followers now, which I know is not insane, but like when the first time I clicked on his profile, I think he had like 500, you know? So like, and he's a nice guy. He seems easy to talk to. Like he's chill. So like, I think, I don't know if pros could do exactly what he does, but like there is still room for people to grow. You just have to be smart about what you're doing.
No, I think all of that is very fair, and I appreciate you calling in on this, LS, because I know you and I have talked about this even
Nick,
maybe on a previous.
I got my name wrong.
Oh, Nick, sorry, Nick. That's right. Not to confuse you with any other Nicks that are in South Korea. But yeah, I appreciate you calling in and sharing this take because I think there is a lot of conversation around the brand building stuff, and it's like dixiecup. I think I like your call a lot because it is fair to point out, like it allowed us to point out, hey, these guys are streaming, but maybe they're not doing the best job of getting the news out there that they're streaming, and they need to take more advantage of that stuff. So I think that's very good. We're running up on time. Otherwise, I would keep Nick around longer because I know everyone loves when Nick calls in. But dixiecup, anything you want to shout out before we say goodbye?
I'll just shout out Cubby. Like, Cubby, you rock. Miami OH, I'm an alumni as well, and you helped start the program that I majored in, so I appreciate you. I see you wearing that quarter zip right now, so yeah. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
And yeah, and also I'll shout out to 100 Thieves. They did a watch party for Valorant tonight in LA. I went. It was a blast. Like, orgs, get out there, like interact with your fans, man. We appreciate it. We love it. And just shout out to the Hotline League boys. We love what you do.
Yeah,
so.
Thank you. And Nick from Korea, anything you would like to shout out?
Just sub to Travis with Twitch Prime. That's it.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the shout out. We'll hopefully get you back on in the future again, Nick.
Okay. Yeah. All right. See you. Bye.
Thanks.
Something someone mentioned Doinby in chat, and I was like, oh yeah, you don't need to be a world champion to leak everyone's shit. Like, why is there no NA player Doinby who's just like fucking rumor mill out the butt, you know, during the off season? Like,
it's
why
almost
not?
gotten lazy, you know. That's got to be it, right?
Yeah, if Doublelift's not doing it, the market is open for a pro player to just leak shit everywhere.
There are some interesting leaks. There are even some going on right now that fans might find interesting about LCS.
Wait, what?
Leak?
I don't know.
You do it.
Oh,
You do
me?
it, Cubby.
Oh, who
Yeah.
knows?
Where's this leak?
Who
You
knows?
say it going on right now. Where?
Tournament realm. Who knows?
Anybody got tournament realm access? Mark, fire that shit up.
I could actually go on Tournament Realm right now, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna get the next caller so I can get out of here.
Okay. Thank you to Multilateral Dev. It's Pena, Billy's Pilgrimage, Jazzy Reporter, Z Warden, D9 Bartlett, Sethi Poo, and Z Crisper. Thank you, everybody, for the subs.
Hurry up before Michael Dawn's internet booms again.
Michael Dawn is back. Michael, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the middle of nowhere, Utah.
And what do you want to talk about on the show?
Basically, I ran the numbers, and no matter who you vote for, several pro players in each role are going to get snubbed for all pro.
All right. Could you explain how this works? Caller, the internet is struggling. Could you elaborate a little bit, Michael? Oh boy, we need
Michael. Just say your take. No matter. Okay, just go, and we will listen.
Yeah.
I am saying that no matter who you vote for, multiple pro players in each role are going to get snubbed for all pro.
Explain.
Well, only 3 players in each role can actually get all pro. So, like, the 2 players that don't get all pro are getting snubbed. So, like, I called in before the split started and said I predicted that Pioshik would get all pro. So I was looking at, like, say, junglers, and we've got Pioshik, Blaber, River, Boogie, and Armeo, who have all had arguably all pro worthy performances, and all of them are probably going to get all pro votes, and all of them deserve it. But only 3 of them can get all pro. So, like, Boogie and Armeo are probably going to get snubbed this split.
And do you see that across all roles, or just the jungle role, where you just feel like there's a lot of really good players and they just are not able to? There's not enough space for them.
Yes, it's definitely all roles, and the only role that I think isn't as competitive is support, where it's like Huhi, Core, Chime, and Sven were the only 4 players that I really saw as all pro candidates. And then ADC is super stacked the split, and that has the most.
Do you have a list of each of these roles you can just give us really quickly?
Yeah, so top lane I had Summit, Revenge, Fudge, Rich, Licorice. I already did jungle. Mid lane I had Jojo, Gory, Insanity, Eminez, Palafox. And ADC I had Berserker, Unforgiven, Yon, Tomo, Tactical, and Stixay, and maybe even Doublelift.
All right. Well, this makes me not looking forward to voting next week, but
Coward. I feel like on surface level, sure, I agree with Michael Dawn. I also feel like, though, people think that just because someone's good, they deserve an all pro vote. There's a lot of people who I think had good splits. There's no fucking way I'm voting them for all pro at the end of the day.
Like who?
You know, like Doublelift. Like, I thought he played pretty good this split. I wish he had a better team. But there's no fucking way he's going over any of the people that was just listed there, except Tactical. Sure, he probably played better than Tactical. But, like, yeah, the other guys are getting votes over him.
And to add on to this,
Tactical
none of the FlyQuest players even did well. Like, normally they would be all pros. So you're missing all of the FlyQuest players from this too, which is crazy.
Yeah, but they would have taken, like, to me, they would have taken someone.
Not really. They're 4-11.
Well, I think he's saying, like, if they were, top 3, like we projected. But, like, if they're top 3, then EG's probably not top. Like, I don't know. It solves itself for me. I feel like there's legitimately some times where, like, both guys in the 3 position or the 2 position or, like, whatever position have, legitimate credit to it. But I think a lot of them I can actually maybe I just have a stronger opinion about what I think is good and not. Like, Rich, I'm sorry, buddy. I love you. I was hyping you up a lot, but I'm probably cutting your ass off my all-pro vote.
Yeah,
I've always had a bit of a
but like, you can argue that Rich deserves all pro, right? Like, that's a legitimate argument in this split.
Someone can make it. Probably won't be me making it.
Not if there are 3 spots and there are 3 people ahead of him. Because I think I'm putting 3 top laners ahead of Rich for sure.
I am too, but like,
yeah. So
It's
I for
rich.
me, like, I mean, there can be close votes for roles. Like, I think last split mid was just a mosh pit.
Yeah.
That I had. I still had JoJo in my top 3, which was controversial. I didn't get a vote, but that was like on my own list. But I honestly, I really didn't even count like people's opinions when it came to mid because I thought mid was like that close and confusing. I thought like Gory had to be on the list and like that was it.
Yeah.
I think that it just kind of depends on the split and the role. I don't think that's like necessarily snubs. The only thing like I will consider snubs if like, I mean the play has to speak for it. But like let's say for example, Blaber, just because like River is gonna get second team All Pro jungler and Blabber's gonna get first, I don't think River got snubbed, right? Now if it was flipped,
But that means Pioshik is getting snubbed because he was the best jungler in the LCS this split.
oh, okay. Well,
This is just
I
him
guess,
trying to live up to his week 1 call. All right.
all
like
right.
he's
Well, I mean, I do
saying
respect
that,
it in a way.
I mean, Pioshik probably will get like some third team nods. I could see him getting it. Depending on your opinion of Armeo and how much this slide continues, like he could drop out of a lot of people's all pro voting. You know, like I think that there'll be some positions after this next week where I feel like, ooh, I wish I had one more vote, but I don't think right now, like just gut checking each of those roles as you went through them, I felt like I could pick out my 3 pretty quick.
I think
also-
the subs or the snubs occur more often whenever you see somebody who most people think don't deserve to be there but got there on name recognition. Like there was one split where Core I think played his like worst split but still made it in, even though like I forget who it was, like a less popular support player should have been in there, like Vulcan or something like that at the time. It was a couple years ago. And so
I think Hui
those,
missed and Core got it. And that was the snub.
yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
I think they're like, if it's like, oh, you could make an argument for both these players and it's kind of a toss up, like I don't consider that a snub. Because it's like, just fucking play better than the other player. Like if you want to get on there, then make it so that there's not an argument for that person versus you. I think it's more of a snub whenever it's like, wow, this player played phenomenal and they were definitely ahead, but then like somebody who clearly didn't deserve it caught it, you know?
Assuming that the voting works the same way this year that it always does, I think it's going to mean that we're going to see some really awkward all pros because the votes are going to be way more split, I think.
That is a fair thing, right? Where like you could see a situation where you're like, hey, this year we might have the craziest, closest voting in almost every role that we've ever had. I could definitely see that as a take here that feels a little bit more in line versus the sort of like the snub language. But yeah, I don't know.
Just trying to be sensationalist for the internet. You know?
No, that's good. That's how you get Mark to pull you. Anything that you want to shout out before we go on to the last caller?
Yeah, shout out as always, Energy DeMonte. And I think that's all.
Yeah, very good. Thank you so much for the call, and we'll catch you.
Yep, see you later.
All right. Shout out to Damon Blaze for the sub. Mark is grabbing our last caller, and then I'll stick around on stream for a little bit. I've already ordered some food for a TGI mukbang. All right, we got Ivs. How do you say your name, caller?
Hey Travis, I'm Ivan, but you can call me Yves or Ivan. It's okay, either way.
Okay, Yves, Ivan. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Argentina, dude. We've had a lot of international callers tonight.
Cool.
That's awesome. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
So my take is Blaber will win his third MVP and will be considered one of, if not the best, North American player ever.
This is this harkens all the way back to the Tim Seven Houston copy pasta that I haven't seen him post in a while because he's part of 100 Thieves now, where he says, how long is it going to take before Blabbers overtakes Doublelift as the greatest North American player or something like that? Why do you think he's going to win MVP?
So last broadcast, Mark shared some stats about the frontrunner for MVP, and I think Blaber was way ahead of all the junglers. And if you see all the other candidates, for example, Jojo Pian or Insanity or maybe someone from GG, like Huhi, I think he has been the most consistent, either in his wins and also his losses. I think when Blaber is looking great, C9 will probably win. And I also think he's going to 3-0 this week, and C9 will finish first, and recency bias is a pretty common thing in LCS.
Yeah, I think going into this weekend, like my eyes are kind of on EG to see and JoJo to see if he can take it. But I do think Blaber is probably my front runner for MVP. We can all kind of talk about this because we have one more week to go, and then I guess it's a little bit more secretive. But Mark and Cubby, what do you guys make of this?
I feel like if JoJo has another like a good bounce back week and kind of plays at the level he did for the first round robin, I lean towards him. I think both of them are the number one, number two. I think both of them have that kind of unlocked. They're both first all-pro in their position. I don't really think anyone's taking JoJo's spot no matter what. I think the thing for me would be like the take this player out of the team argument. What happens? I think C9, despite the fact that I totally believe that Blaber is the engine for that team and the most important player on their team and the MVP for that team. I think there are still more pieces around, and if you pulled JoJo out of EG, that team might collapse and just be like bottom half of the league with another mid laner in there. So that's kind of the argument you would have, but that can only take you so far. And if they end up like 4th or 5th with like a 1-2 week or something like that and get really overtaken in the standings, like, I'm sorry, I really think you are incredible, JoJo, but you're not so incredible that you've boosted this team to top 3. So I really think he needs a top 3 finish, which probably means going like 2-1 and looking good while doing it.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. Cubby, how about you?
I agree. I said that earlier. I think JoJo needs to be Hemi Butler if he actually wants to take home the MVP. I will say for Blaber, right now, I would favor him. C9's the best team. And I think the Blaber, the biggest compliment I can give Blaber is that I feel like he has rounded out his play a little bit. Like, going back and looking at Blaber throughout his career, I mean, there were metas. Like, I remember the MSI where it was Rumble, Morg Jungle, where Blaber, like, looked lost. I think that Blaber has really evolved into being a much more consistent player where he does hit the high highs that he hits. When this guy takes a skirmish, the amount of skirmishes that he actually wins is very impressive to me. I think that when he takes fights, he takes them really well, and I think that that has just only improved, also with how he plays map. And jungle is the strongest role in NA from top to bottom, and the gap between Blaber and the rest continues to be as big as it is, which is, I think, honestly, the biggest compliment and the most impressive thing about Blaber. So I think that at the moment I still favor him, but yeah, I completely agree with Mark's argument that if JoJo is the reason why his team top 3s and EG puts up a big week, like the numbers that JoJo has put up throughout the split are ridiculous, and he is the guy in that roster. Like, he has to be the guy in order for that roster to be successful. So I'm really interested to see what happens in this last week. I think it's a 2-horse MVP race for me right now.
Okay, stage 2 of this question, Blaber becomes, I think we can already say he's one of the best North American players of all time, but are we saying if the best? Is he number 2 to Doublelift right now? Does he become number 1 if he gets MVP?
No, he's not.
Titles.
Yeah, I will predict that he becomes the best North American player of all time when he retires, but like, you don't have to declare that yet, because I don't think that's true. I think Doublelift.
Oh no! Did we lose Mark?
Beating Smithy, it's just the argument that he's lacking. He needs like one big pop off international tournament, I think.
Mark froze up there for a second, but we got him.
Oh yeah. So I think championships are the biggest thing, right? Because Doublelift has 8, I believe, and Bjersen has 6, and Blaber has only the LCS championships.
Yeah, it's not just that. It's also like, it's also the situation that for a long, like, Doublelift's narrative is helped by the fact that he did it on so many different teams that, like, for a long time, the number one factor in did you win the split was Doublelift on your team. And so I think that that's one of the things that Blaber has a hard, like, and I don't think that that means that Blaber needs to switch teams or something like that to eventually get it, but it is just like such a strong motivator in terms of Peter's legacy, at least from my perspective. I don't know if anybody disagrees. Well,
I mean, sorry, my internet's just being dog water all of a sudden. Yeah, I think Doublelift's harder to catch because he has a lot of stuff in longevity. I think the case for why I have so much faith in Blaber is he has done it through a couple metas now. It's also the pace at which he's done it. the fact that he has won so much so quickly, so young. You know, like if you look at a lot of the other GOATs, like most of them didn't have such a hot streak. I guess Bjergsen kind of did, and then dropped off early on in his career. Whereas Doublelift like dominated in the middle of his career, I guess you would say, or whatever. But yeah, it's a very good promise for him that he's so young and is presumably still addicted to the league. He seems like a total grinder.
All right. Well, hey, thank you so much. Is it Ivan? One more time.
Yeah, Ivan.
Ivan. Thank you so much, Ivan, for the call. I really appreciate it. I think it's a conversation. Even if it's a short call for now, I think that this will be continuing to be a discussion for many years, which I think will be a fun one. So I appreciate you bringing it up, and maybe you just call in at the end of every split with the same take. Anytime it looks like Blaber's going to win MVP, and we can get you on. But thanks so much for calling in. Anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, I want to shout out Holland Link, of course. I have been consuming this content for several years and never had the courage to call because I think my English is not that good. But thanks for having me, guys. And shout out to the LCS content, which I think it has been awesome, probably the best in the last few years. And shout out to Kavi. I hope you get the job, the LCS full-time job, because I think your cast very good. And shout out to Travis, who has been providing us league content for several years. And yeah, that will be all. And
Dude,
Alienware also, of course.
Your English is better than a lot of our callers, so don't worry. You should always
it's really good.
You can call
Thanks.
in. Yeah. Thank you so much for the call. We'll catch you hopefully in the future.
Yeah, see you guys.
See ya.
See ya.
All right, that is the show. A little bit over time, but we did start a little late, so I'll totally get it. But Cubby, what do you want to shout out? What do you want to plug?
Challengers League. We have our last day of the regular season tomorrow, and I think we have some really good, honestly, the most competitive playoffs that we have. I think TLC are still our number one team, but I think that we actually have like 7 good teams going into playoffs, so I think it's gonna be really fun. And then my stream, since Travis was like, pros need to shout out their stuff more at the end of interviews. You can see my Twitter above, but that's the same for my Twitch stream too. Give me a follow. I usually just go over the Challengers League games, and sometimes I play some solo queue. I failed my Masters promos this past week, so that was a bummer. But we'll see if we climb in the next split. Might play a little bit more because my split ends August 9th.
And for those that are listening to the podcast, Cubby's handle, because you can't see it, is CubbyXX. So
yes, that's I'm still failing. I should be an example for the players.
No, it's fine. It's always, I think a lot of people don't realize we distribute audio. So
yeah.
Mark, what do you want to shout out and plug?
Just shout out. What the
It's
fuck?
over.
Just shouting out I'm shouting out the thing I'm doing tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I'm doing the Soulfire thing. I don't know
Yeah.
exactly what channel it's going to be on, but follow me, Cubby Ovley, or not Cubby, God, me, Kobe Ovley Flowers to know where.
But you can also follow Cubby. Even if Mark thinks you shouldn't follow Cubby, based off what he just said, you could also follow Cubby.
It sounds like that event's going to be awesome, by the way. And I know that there might be some announcements that are getting teased, so you might want to tune in.
Oh.
Who knows?
Oh.
Maybe.
Dude.
Mark, any thoughts?
I don't know what you're talking about, honestly.
Oh, okay.
All right. Anyway,
I actually don't.
If Mark actually doesn't know, then my speculation would be that there's some sort of Project LTs or something like that, because it's a fighting event, and so it would make sense that you have a fighting game. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. You stay tuned for the video about the TGI state of affairs, and if you're a member of the YouTube channel, which you can become for $2.99, you can watch all sorts of interviews early. So, also give me feedback on the new style of interview that I'm doing, where we watch the game and talk about it while we do the interview. So, thanks everyone. We'll be back next Monday for Hotline League. See you next time.